Welcome, everybody. I'm Val Pancakes, and joining me tonight on the stack, I have Paradigm's most hated ref, Sean Patrick O'Brien. You can see him out refing Max Recon at Paradigm, but also at ICW Unsanctioned Pro, right? Unsanctioned Pro?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And like many others, I think you're kind of everywhere. So please welcome Ref Sean.
Hey, I appreciate you bringing me on, Val. This is gonna be fun. Yeah.
I'm excited to have you. I kind of know you a little bit. We've met a couple different times. We hang out in spaces together. But like it's always cool to bring on people that I kind of am a little bit more familiar with and just, talk it up and see what happens.
Right.
I know chat looks like it is kind of popping. So if people have questions in chat, drop them at any point. We will get to them eventually. I know that you guys have to have questions for Sean. So the first question I want to ask is, why do the fans at Paradigm hate you so much?
It's crazy because in this area, honestly, I don't know what it is. In this area, and whenever I first started at IWA Mid-South, I was the only ref for a while. And of course, people just love to give the ref shit. And especially if they do things that make them a little bit upset. And I guess, I don't know, I guess I was, I don't know if I was blessed with the face that you just, love to hate, or I don't know exactly what it is, but, and then also too, I think a little bit of it has to do with Mouse as well. Because if you look on social media, you would think the Mouse hates my guts. I hate to break everyone's heart, but it's all a work. But
a work in wrestling,
right? But and if Mouse is in here watching, or if he listens back to this, he'll probably be like, "No, I really hate you, Sean." But at the same time, Mouse has helped me out in more ways that I could ever pay him back for. I owe so much to that guy. Just a really good dude. But as I was saying, I think it has a little bit to do with that as well, because he I'm trying to watch my mouth, but he trashes on me so much that
oh no, you can swear as long as you don't say anything that's gonna get you canceled.
Oh no, yeah, no worries on that. Trust. But he I think that's why because he shits on me so much, I get it kind of boils over into the Paradigm crowd. Plus, a lot of the people in the crowd are people that I hang out with out in the parking lot. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of gives them even more reason to give me shit. So,
so it sounds like you're kind of deflecting blame onto Mouse instead of taking responsibility for your own actions.
Okay, listen, okay, because it's only at Paradigm. If you watch on an ICW show, if you watch Glory Pro, if you watch Unsanctioned Pro, they hate me too. But if you watch any of the other companies that I referee at, I usually get a pretty good reaction of, "Oh, hey, Man Bun, oh, it's Man Bun." But for some reason at Paradigm, man, they love to boo me. So, and on the flip, they love to cheer my big brother, my mentor, Max Recon. So I don't know.
So the Man Bun thing, are you going to keep the Man Bun forever just because of the little nickname that you have, or what do you think will happen if you get rid of it?
Okay, so I've actually gotten it cut off before once, and it was in the ring. So I had a match against Ben Sheeran of the Ben Sheeran brand on Paradigm and all of that. Me and him had a 4-on-4 8-man tag match, and it was for the position of senior referee at IWA Mid-South. He was doing some heelish tactics. I would come out and I would be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Throw him out of matches, all kind of stuff. And that pretty much what led to him becoming a manager. But we ended up having a match. And at the end of the match, I pinned him 1, 2, 3 clean. He ended up, you know, hit me with a chair. His what do you call it? The wrestlers on his faction or whatever, they ended up curb stomping me on said chair, and then got some scissors, cut my hair off, and like I guess to pull the curtain back or whatever. Like I did it just because like at the time, I um I felt like I was starting to become somewhat of like a gimmick ref or something. And it was something I didn't really want to be, you know what I'm saying? There was more people who knew me as referee Man Bun than Sean, you know? And so I was kind of tossing an idea around. I had my first WrestleMania weekend, literally the weekend before. And it just was kind of like fate, because I had that first WrestleMania weekend in Jersey and New York. And then the next weekend, my one and only wrestling match that I've ever had. And I walked in the door to pull the curtain all the way back. I walked in the door and I said, "Hey, Ian, what if I cut my hair?" And he goes, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Because at this point, I'd been, 2 or 3 years in, and I had always had the man bun. Literally from day one. And like that, even if anybody goes back and watches the match, I can't remember if it's on IWTV or not. But they, Nick Manoa puts over a really good call where he says, I've known Sean now going on 3 years, and I've only known him with the man bun. This is crazy. Like it was just a really cool moment. The crowd was like losing their shit. And so, going back to what I was gonna say, I did it because I was going to start, doing these tryouts, the Impact tryouts, Evolve tryouts, try and like, make this like really a full-time job, or do what I could to get my foot in the door. Because I saw my mentor, my big brother, Max Recon, he was doing the same exact thing. And that was really kind of what I knew that, because I had a handful of refs tell me that if I wanted to take this to the next level, that I probably couldn't do it with the man bun. And so that's why I ended up getting it cut off. And ended up, I had a few people tell me that, yo, like, that's like a brand, you know what I'm saying? Like you've kind of created something, you know what I mean? Like it's weird. Like you're just Sean now. You're not Ref Man Bun. Like, you know what I mean? So, and not only that, but I had created shirts like literally right before I cut the man bun off, probably I'd say about 3 or 4 months. And then it was just like a decision, like, why not? Let's do it, but I had these shirts and I had got some physical ones made, and wasn't really moving them anyway. So I was just like, screw this. Why do I have merch in the first place? But, and so yeah, I was just like, cool, fine, cut the man bun off. And then it grew back way faster than I expected. Like so much faster than I expected. That happened. And then of course, literally right as soon as my hair started to get to where it had like a little ponytail and I could start putting it in a bun, the pandemic happened. And so once we had came back, it was like, referee man bun is back type shit, you know what I'm saying? And it was just kind of like, it was like, it was fun again, because I felt like when I cut my hair off, it was like I was starting to take it too serious, and was not having as much fun as I did when I started. And then it was like, once I grew my hair back out, it was like, cool, I'm having fun again,
So like man bun since day one. And
Yeah.
then like, cause that's what I'm hearing is like, and that's like part of you and who you are. Like people expect to see it.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Well, and like the crazy thing is that I really only grew my hair out in the first place because, I'm divorced now, but my ex-wife, she was just like, you got good hair. You might as well grow it out. And at the time I was doing music. And so, I just kind of became that white boy R&B singer with the man bun, and it was kind of something that made me stick out whenever I was singing, you know what I mean? Because for the longest, I just kept my hair in like a buzz or like a, high and tight or like some kind of short haircut. And then finally, like my hair started to grow out because I just hadn't cut it in a while. And like I said, my ex was like, yo, you got some good hair. Like, why don't you you might as well start growing it, And I was like, you're right. So and it just happened. And then, like I said, when I started doing wrestling, it was just already there.
Like your built-in, like, I don't want to say gimmick, but like signature or whatever.
Yeah, it's
Like to
almost like,
set you apart from all the other refs.
well, that's kind of what it does somewhat now, I guess. Because like I said, I go in there and try and be the best possible ref that I can be, and do as great a job as I can. But if there's something that can't, because one of the first things that I was always told as a referee was you're supposed to be invisible. But I still try and do certain things to make myself stand out. And the hair wasn't meant to be something to make myself stand out. But it kind of something that makes people remember me.
Yeah, I think that like you can be remembered or recognized or whatever without like overshadowing the people in the ring, unless I
Yeah.
guess they're really boring. And then in that case, that's not your problem. Like,
Yeah. Well, see, and that's where I will say, I do hate when other, what's the word? I'm trying to think of a way to put this. Unnecessary things. How do I put this? When certain like entities in wrestling will take away from the match by using my hair, because that's happened on commentary before. That's happened on whether it be the fans, you know what I'm saying? Like just like being like, dude, this guy's got a man bun. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's where I'm just kind of like, come on, guys. Like, it's not about my hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because then like a wrestler will come out and they'll have a man bun too. And it's like, you know what I mean? You're just giving me crap. Like, I feel it. It's fine. I'm the referee. But it's like, come on. It is really kind of annoying when commentary does it though. Because there's been situations where commentary will like go in and try to make unnecessary jokes about my hair. And I'm like, but yeah.
Well, like maybe they don't have any hair, so maybe it's like a jealousy thing.
Possibly. We'll leave it at that.
I mean, I don't know who it was or anything. I truly don't, but like maybe that's an issue. Maybe they're insecure about their own hair. So they have to shit on yours.
You hit the nail on the head. We'll put it that way. But I digress.
Oh, this is gonna be all digress here. And I am for it. So it sounds like, because you said that Paradigm hates you, which I was watching the stream last weekend, and I very much got the vibe that they do indeed hate you. And you said that Unsanctioned doesn't like you too terribly much, but that Glory Pro thinks you're okay, and ICW likes you.
ICW love,
yeah, like those fans love you.
I know.
It feels like the more people see you, the less they like you.
It does kind of seem that way, doesn't it, a little bit? like I said, I have a face that only my mother could love. So
like I hope you know, like, I'm just giving you a hard time. Personally, I think you're a fantastic referee. I enjoy watching you referee. I've been able to see you in person a couple of different times, both at ICW, where you're doing like crazy death matches, as well as like Glory Pro, where you're not doing crazy death matches. So like, which do you have a preference? Like, do you like doing like normal, like in the ring, like matches, or do you prefer like the crazy shit that ICW throws at you? Or is there no preference?
Yeah, really at this point, I don't have a preference, because I love them just as much equally. I can have just as much fun with, because I'm very much like a strong style type. That's kind of like my jam. I can have just as much fun doing a strong style straight match or a death match. You know what I'm saying? and I feel like for me, both of them are just as equally hard to work. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I really don't have much of a preference anymore. So only because I do both of them so much. You know what I mean? Because working for ICW, obviously, it's one of the premier indie companies and then deathmatch companies in the world too. And so, but also too, I'm every other weekend I'm doing, whether it be New Wave Pro, Glory Pro, or even just something at the arena. Because I like the world famous Jeffersonville Arena that everyone talks about. I live 2 minutes from there. So like Too Tough Tony, if he has like birthday parties, if he has like, anything, he's like, yo, Sean, what are you doing? And so, and I did like he texted me on like a Wednesday and was like, hey, if you're not busy or if you're not booked anywhere on Friday, can you come up here and work a bachelor party? And these dudes rented out the arena and they had a bachelor party and had like 2 or 3 matches and got drunk and was just cheered on like some students that train up there at Grindhouse. Like it was pretty cool. So
that sounds super dope. I was worried that the bachelor party people were doing them, like were wrestling, and I was like, oh,
okay,
that sounds terrible.
Actually,
oh, now I'm interested.
So apparently, the best man actually trained at Lance Storm's, but he hadn't wrestled in like a year, maybe 2 years, maybe even more than that. But whenever he ended up following me on Instagram, I saw that he actually used to wrestle at like Fest Wrestling and stuff like that in Florida. So like he's worked some places and done some things. But the groom, apparently he trained like 10 years ago, but he hasn't wrestled in like 10 years. And so, yeah. And so the spot that we ended up doing was we got the best man. He ended up having a match. And I think that there was some kind of shenanigans. He ended up getting jumped. And somehow, some way, we got the message to the groom to come in and hop the guardrail. He runs in the ring. We turned it into a tag team match. And then the groom ends up, of course, getting the hot tag in the pin. So, good times.
So you're like the on-call ref for that venue then?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. Like I would tell people for a while that like, I don't work for any singular company necessarily at the arena. Like I work for Too Tough Tony, you know what I mean? Although I do work for the different companies. Like I would contact through them to get booked and whatever different stuff. But like I would also tell people now, like I work for Tony because to be fair, I also will do like whenever he has Grindhouse student shows, which he still does, on a monthly basis, and different stuff. I'm up there for that. And so like, that's why I have such close relationships with guys like Freddie Hudson and like ZDP, Charlie Cruel, Billy Starks, like all these people, that's where they trained at. And so, and I literally was like reffing their first matches,
Aww.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. Like, because like, especially Fred, man, like to see where Fred has come, it's so lovely. Like, I love to see, because I mean, like, we all knew Billy was going to be good. She wanted this so hard, had so much dedication to this, and even Charlie, like to see where Charlie's getting and the things that she's doing right now. Love to see it. Really love to see it.
Yeah, Freddie and I have beef because I had him on the stack like in August. And he started calling me Val Waffles. So now I call him the cicada instead of the hornet. So feel free to do that. Everybody, feel free to do that. We got heat now. So you work, like I said, you work the death matches, you work the regular matches. What has been like, how is it like different, like roughing those death matches? Like I know you have to have like a whole different strategy like going into that.
Absolutely, yeah. So with the death matches, like my number one priority is just making sure everybody's safe, because obviously there's not any rules or anything like that. So it's not like I can DQ anybody or have to count anybody out or worry about rope breaks really. Although some promotions are a little weird on that, because they'll have rope breaks even though it's a death match. Which, if anybody wants to know how to explain that psychology wise, you have to pin them in the ring because it's not a falls count anywhere match. If it's a falls count anywhere match, obviously rope breaks would not matter. But since it's not falls count anywhere, it's just in the ring. That's how rope breaks count during a death match, even though there's no rules. Still, you know what I mean?
Oh.
But yeah, just a little fun fact.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, but yeah, so at least that's how I explain it psychology wise. So, but as far as like like I was saying, my number one priority, well, and really both style of matches is just to keep everybody safe and make sure everybody goes home okay. But that's really amped in a death match, and that's why you'll see me running around like a madman, kicking glass out of the ring and making sure that the end pieces of the tubes aren't in the way, so they're not landing on them. Doing all the stuff that I do. Like I feel like I'll sweat harder doing that sometimes than I will doing a straight match. Like just because I'm somewhat kind of anal about it. But yeah, as far as like anything else goes, like I said, there's really no rules or anything. So I'll try to add like a little bit of extra like flavor to it. And even though I don't have to, like I'll be like, hey, get out of the corner. Or I'll be like, come on, let's keep it in the ring. Or like, I'll throw in a little bit of stuff like that. And it's funny because there's actually like some of the great deathmatch wrestlers or whatever. I'm not going to name drop anybody because whatever, but some of those guys, like, oh, I love the fact that you do that. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a cool little added thing. And so that's why I've always kind of kept that in my, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely just as much work for sure. But like I said, number one priority is just keeping them safe.
Yeah, I am just from like I've only recently gotten into death matches really since the pandemic started. The COVID times have made me hard, and now I like death matches where I didn't before. Like I actively did not before, and then I started just like I don't know if it was because like ICW was one of the only things running, and I was just like so like starved for content. I was like, I'll watch anything, and then I started to really enjoy death matches and all of the intricacies that go along with it because it's like a whole separate world.
Well, I like was pretty much thrusted into like the deathmatch lifestyle, I guess, or like the deathmatch scene or whatever you want to call it, because my first IWA Mid-South show, like the first day I started, the main event was John Wayne Murdoch and Aiden Blackheart, and they were having like I don't even know what it was called. They were having some kind of barbed wire match or whatever. And there's actually a picture on my Instagram from that show because I took the barbed wire bat and I had it over my shoulder and I said something about making my IWA Mid-South debut. And but that was, like I said, that was the main event. They both bled buckets. And at the time, I want to say they were having like some kind of like 7-match death. It might have been like a 3-match death match series or something, but they had like 3 or 4 shows back to back where they were doing a death match like every week. Because at the time we had that, our IWA had that building. Well, anytime they have a building where they can do what they want, it'll literally be deathmatch show after deathmatch show on a weekly basis. And it's nuts, but not deathmatch shows, but it might be 1 or 2 death matches, every week.
Every show.
And so, and then, doing my first King of the Death match and all that stuff. But like the thing was like 2017 on, because that was when I really started. I feel like the deathmatch scene has just been like ridiculous ever since then. And a lot of those guys, like I was saying, John Wayne Murdoch and stuff are your top guys in the deathmatch scene these days. You know what I mean? G Raver, Raver was really kind of like getting rolling. I don't think he started, he was, obviously training longer than that, but been in the business longer than that, but he really started getting some steam, I'd say, 17, 18-ish. Alice Cologne, 2017, 18-ish, because of VLW and stuff, so like to see where those guys are now, and they can sell out, GCW shows is crazy, and ICW shows obviously with Murdoch. So
Yeah. Well, and Murdoch was IWTV Wrestler of the Year last year.
right.
And, especially for somebody like a deathmatch wrestler to get something like that. I know it's, fan votes and what have you, but like to see death matches kind of almost enter into kind of like more of a spotlight over the past year. And maybe it just seems that way to me because I'm paying more attention to it now than I ever have before. But
No, no, go ahead.
Oh no, but that's the way it seems to me.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely bigger than that, just because like never in a million years did I ever think that we would see death matches on, a cable network television. You know what I mean? And like they went, I mean, like it wasn't like your hardest death match, you know what I'm saying? Like, but they used tubes, they used panes, you know what I'm saying? Barbed wire. I mean, it went hard, you know what I'm saying? It was full death match. Never in a million years did I think that Chris Jericho would go through a pane of glass. Like, and I know, granted, he, did the Rana, but still he was putting somebody through a pane of glass. Like, it's crazy. Chris Jericho. So yeah, I definitely think like, because like you said, you are paying attention to it more, like you see it more often, and it's kind of more exposed to you personally. But I do feel like it's definitely entered like a new realm. What is weird, and what I have to kind of like bite my tongue, is the amount of people who are ignorant to it, you know what I mean, or who want to be like, oh my god, like that's so stupid, that's so this, that's so that, you know what I'm saying, like, and want to judge it, instead of giving it a chance, because it's like, yeah, okay, these guys are doing a lot to their body, but you know there's a reason, you know what I'm saying, like, there's a purpose. Some of these guys, like, and this might sound crazy to some of the people tuning in, but some of these guys will look at scars on their bodies like anybody would a tattoo, you know what I mean. They'll look at a scar and be like, I got this in this match against so and so, you know what I'm saying, or this scar was from so and so, you know what I'm saying, like, and it's almost like a meaningful purpose, and that, like I said, that may be a little bit messed up to some, but like, I don't know, it's kind of dope to me. So like, I mean, I got about, oh wait, we're on video, so I can show you. I got a scar right here that I got from counting in a pane of glass, and like, yeah, it sucked, and I even had a show like a day or two later, and it reopened, and like bled all down my arm and stuff, and it was pretty bad. But hey, I'll never forget, that was 4th of July ICW weekend.
Right on. So like, I was gonna ask, like, have you been injured, and what was the worst injury you've had reffing? I imagine a death match, but maybe it was in a regular match. I don't know.
So knock on wood, I've never really had very many very many injuries. I'd say probably like the one that banged me up and like, somewhat like, probably the one that I felt the most, days after, was, well, I'll say the first one that I definitely felt days after. It was in a death match, but it wasn't from anything death match related. People have his opinions about him, but Corporal Robinson, he gave me a boot camp, which is basically like, he does a move where he'll tuck your arm behind your head, and then he'll do a Russian leg sweep. And me being me, I like to make things look good, and so I jumped into a little bit extra, and I spiked myself backwards, with my arm, tucked up, obviously too, and I felt it down my shoulder and my arm and in my neck for, I'd say, probably a good week. So, and then, but it wasn't like anything crazy. It was just like I couldn't lift my arm past a certain, whatever, until like a week later, and everything was fine. But but then there was also, and like I said, this was like freak accident stuff, and that's how a lot of injuries, even for the wrestlers, will happen. It was when John Wayne Murdoch and Shane Mercer had their match at ICW. I was going to roll out of the ring, and my foot got caught in between the apron and the apron and the ring, I guess. And
Yeah, like the boards.
yeah, no, like the what's it called? The cloth, like that hangs off the side.
Ring skirt.
There we go. Thank you. The ring skirt. Yeah. My foot got caught in between the skirt and the apron, and as I was going to roll out, my foot twisted my body twisted, but my foot stayed, and I heard like a weird pop in my knee, and this was right as they were going into the finish when Shane, I think, ended up throwing Murdoch off the top of some deal or whatever, like a trailer or whatever it was. And I was going around to follow them around to the back, make sure everything was okay. And I go to put pressure on my knee. And as soon as I did, I was like, oh. And I kind of like had to limp back around to the thing. And then I just kind of got in the ring. And luckily, once they got in, Murdoch ended up, doing the brain buster onto the pain right afterwards, and didn't really have to move around too much after that. But that sucked because we were in Florida. Actually, I want to say that was the last time we were at the pawn shop, which, cheap plug, that's where we'll be this weekend. But when we were at the pawn shop, I want to say that was the last time, because that was also the match. I don't know if anybody's tuning in, when Shane Mercer got hit with the fire stick from Murdoch. You know what I'm talking about? He lit the stick on fire and was like hitting him in the back with it and such. It was nuts. But that match, we drove on our way back in the back seat. Normally I'm stuck in the middle, and so ended up getting stuck in the middle with a bum knee, and that sucked quite a bit. So, but yeah. At the same time, though, I ride with some pretty crazy guys who will do some pretty messed up things to their body. Normally, when I'm riding places, especially like ICW, I'm with the rejects, and so I really can't complain too much about my body being banged up.
Fair.
Right. So, but yeah, that's probably like the two worst. Like I said, knock on wood, I've been pretty fortunate to not really get hurt. Like I said, this cut that I got on my arm was really not even that much. Like I literally ran to the back and I wrapped some tape around it and went back out there. Like, it's no big deal. The days afterwards, it took a little bit to heal, like I said, because I ended up trying to count and it reopened it, and I was just bleeding all over my hand and such. And it was at the arena, which we're not allowed to bleed anyway. So, and then it was funny because Too Tough Tony's wife ended up coming up there, and I'm cool with her too. And so I'm like, Amy, I'm sorry, I bled all over the place. Like, it wasn't all over the floor or anything, because I'm sitting here bleeding. Yeah, we're on camera. I'm sitting here bleeding, and the whole time I'm like wiping it on my pants, like trying to like make sure it's not dripping all over the place, because I didn't want to have to go back and clean it up. And then ended up having to clean up a little bit out of the ring, but. Yeah, that kind of sucked a little bit. But like I said, this didn't hurt. It wasn't anything like that. There was a pane of glass that got broke, and I went to count, and I counted down into it, and it just, holy crap,
You're treating it like it's a mild inconvenience.
It was. No, that was, yeah, it was. And I know it's kind of funny because it's like a whole scar on my thing, and it was a little deep, but that same show, if you go back and watch on ICW, was the show that I took a pane of glass in the main event. So like I said, like this really wasn't like too much compared to that, like, well, also I did get a little bit hurt when I took the pain, but it wasn't from the glass. I had forgot that there are no turnbuckles in the chains. And if you go back and watch that clip, I like clip my head on the corner where the chains meet right there in the corner, and that kind of sucked, but yeah.
And what show was this?
This was the July 4th ICW show that was outside of the Bloodshed. We had a a pit fighter show. Then we also had IC. I can't remember which number it was. It was the
That's
weekend
fair.
in Indianapolis, I think. So maybe like no holds barred 14ish, something like that. But whichever one it is I know it's July 4th weekend from this year.
Go want to clip your head on a turnbuckle.
Yeah, as a fan of glass. Yes.
Yeah, just everyday rep things.
It be like that.
So do you ever want to stop doing death matches, or do you ever think like, man, this is gonna be my last one? Or is it just like everything else in wrestling where it's like you're just gonna do it until you can't?
Yeah, exactly. Being a referee is my job. I feel like when I had started at my shoot job that I work at, Monday through Friday, the day job or whatever. Like I told them, like, hey, I have another part-time job. Just because like at the time I was refereeing some weeks, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and granted, like I wasn't getting paid what that shoot job was paying me. But at the same time, it was like, yo, like, just so you guys know, like weekends are pretty much off for me. And now it's got to the point where, like for instance, this weekend I have to leave, or I had to take off on Friday so we can get down to Florida, but my shoot job is so flexible with that, and I'm so grateful to have a shoot job like that, because I did have one when I started my career. I had a shoot job that wasn't as flexible, and they weren't as cool about certain things, and they would make me jump through hoops and all kind of BS, just to get a day off 2 months in advance. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't think I'll ever really stop doing it just because it's my job. Like I feel like my job, I feel like I've found like that, niche into once I like kind of put my foot in the door and I guess solidify like this is what I want to do and I enjoy doing it. I don't look back, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna do it until I either get old and crippled and I can't do it anymore, or like Nick Gage says, I'm gonna die in the effing ring, So
I wonder if they would stop, like, would it be a ref stoppage at that point?
oh my God. Ref life stoppage. Yeah. I don't know.
So like you have your regular normal whatever job, and like I don't know where you're at, if you work from home or if you have to go in, but like do you go in like especially when you have like an injury from one of your matches, like do you ever go in, like what happens when you're going all fucked up? like
Well,
do people notice or care?
A lot of times, like, because most of the guys, I don't work at like a big company. I work at a shop. It's a wood shop, and there's not a lot of guys there anyway, and we only have one shift. No, well, they actually are real kind of interested in like what I be doing and where I be at and stuff. One of the managers, he actually like has some friends who I guess like used to backyard. And so like he'll love whenever I show him like some of the deathmatch clips and stuff, because he's just like, that's so crazy, dude. So yeah, like they and also too, going back to what you were asking, like I've came in limping, whenever I messed up my knee, and they're just like, oh man, like what'd you do, whatever. And I'll be like, it was stupid, like nothing. I didn't do anything. I literally just got my foot stuck while I was trying to roll out of the ring. Like,
You didn't make up anything more exciting than that?
Nah, because I can't. Like, I can't.
I mean, there's video
liar.
proof, I suppose.
I'm a terrible liar. I used to be a good liar, and then at a certain point, I was just like, "There's no point in lying," and now I can't lie anymore. Like I'm just like, so. But I'm not good at coming up with good lies, at least at the top of my head. So, but yeah, now, yeah, my shoot job, like for instance, too, what's really cool is there was actually a point where they've donated doors. Actually, the doors that were on the first parkade, those were donated by my work.
Oh,
uh, so,
that's awesome. That's the best thing I've heard.
well, they some doors out, and they were sitting by the dumpster, and they actually had put a sign on it. They said something about, free or take these or whatever it was. And I saw it, and I asked the our shipping guy, who was the guy who took them out there. I said, "Hey, does anybody claim those?" And he was like, "No." Oh, because he knows I do the rest stuff, and he was like, "I bet you want those, don't you?" I said, "Hell yeah! Don't let anybody take them." So they've also donated light tubes. I want to say on one of the King of the Death matches, like the more recent ones, Ian got my work donated like some 8-foot light tubes, and used them for I think like a tower that they made, and then they used them for a couple other gimmicks. So, but yeah, my work has donated a few weapons and stuff. Like my current shoot job, just because they'll go to throw stuff out, and they're like, "Hey, Sean, you think you guys will use this?"
And you're like, if we have it, it will be used.
Yeah. Well, and what the funniest part is, anytime that they're around me, whether they're throwing something away, they'll act like they're swinging, like a a kendo stick or something. Because we work in wood, and so they'll take boards and act like they're swinging a chair, hitting it over the dumpster. All kind of silly stuff. They'll make jokes about, "I'm gonna drop an elbow on you," whenever they're like near my area and stuff. And I'm just like, "Ha ha, it's funny,"
So what have been some, like, you ref a lot of death matches, and I'm sorry to keep harping on the death matches, but to me that's so interesting because not everybody does it,
yeah, love it.
and
It's
not
fine.
everybody can do it. Like,
Yeah,
it's a very, like, I think especially having to ref those matches, and like you were saying earlier, keep the wrestler safe, and sort of to some extent keep the fans safe,
yeah,
because you're not like letting people, you're not leaving tubes and crap laying all over the place. I mean, to some extent, but you know what I mean.
right.
Like when I was at the pawn shop, that was the thing that because I was able to go, and I was so excited to like visit, because like to me, like I like going to like places like that, but to see all of like the like pieces of death matches past just like laying out there.
Oh man, and then
There's like a
underneath
pile of just crap.
right, ring, it just collects and collects.
I was like, they didn't use that this show. I'm pretty sure they didn't use those this show.
Oh well, I got a really cool picture of down in Tampa, because the Unsanctioned Pro show ended up having to get moved inside, because it started raining, like a huge downpour. They had to break down the whole GCW set, or the whole collective set, I guess. And then because cameras, all that stuff. But what was really crazy was the storm was literally there and gone. Like it passed so fast. And as the sun was setting, it was just a beautiful, like, because I don't know if you ever went up on, you were in Tampa, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you go to the Unsanctioned Pro show by chance?
I did not. I missed that
Okay.
one.
Did
But I
you
went to,
did you check
oh,
out the Cube Club at all, like on the
yeah, I
inside?
went
Like,
to the NLP show afterwards. Yeah.
okay, well, did you go up like top at all?
No, I didn't.
Top floor? Okay. So like there was these stairs that was like kind of above, actually the stairs that Matthew Justice had jumped off of on the Pondo. If you go all the way up to the very, very top of those stairs, at that time, right after the storm and right after the ring was broken down, I'd say probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes before they were going to start the Unsanctioned Pro show. The setting was just beautiful. And I was like, I got to get a picture of this. So I took a picture, and you see down in the corner where the ring got broken down and the deathmatch show had just got over with. Literally, it's a perfect square of just all kind of like debris. And it was like, it's funny. I'll send the picture to you so you can
Yes,
see it later.
please.
Yeah, it's funny because like if you zoom in on it, especially, you're just like, whoa, like it's crazy. It's almost like a snow mountain down there of just like a perfect square.
It's like broken glass and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, tubes, glass. Yeah.
So what has been some of like the most interesting, I guess is what I'm looking for? Like weaponry, I guess is another word to look for it. You've seen in a deathmatch. Like what has been like the weirdest thing that you've had to like work around?
Uh
Because
so
like doors, tubes, whatever. No, I want like weird stuff that's like you have to like really like work around.
right, right. Well, so it's not out yet, but this past weekend I did the Vicious Outcast Wrestling show. Um which it was really good show. Definitely check it out whenever y'all get a chance to go back. It was stupid stacked. But there was a match with who was it? Schlack, Alice Cologne, and Raven Havoc. And Schlack, well, they had these fans. It was like a door, and it had a fan right here and a fan right here. And they turned the fans on, but the fans were metal blades. I'm like, are you all trying to like kill somebody or get somebody's like limb chopped off or like what in the hell? Like who thought of this? Like who thought it was going to be a good idea whatsoever at all? Yeah, I don't know what. Because here's the thing, that door was in the ring, and so when they turn it on, I feel it turn on, and I'm like, whoa, buddy, like that's a little close. I don't know about that. And Schlack being the innovative, um, madman that he is, he ended up unplugging the deal, ripped the fans off the door, and then just threw them at his opponents. So, but yeah, that was pretty nuts. And that's just off the top of my head, just because it literally just happened. I'd say some of the more funnier stuff is like a dildo on a drill. Those are always fun.
The
I've
old
ref like
drill dough.
those, yeah. Um, let's see. Uh, yeah, I really can't think of much more besides like, there was a sled that had like cans and then something on top of it that had a pane of glass on it. So like you fell down onto a pane of glass and then there were cans underneath of it that you were on. It was like, yeah, that was a little crazy. But
Yeah, I'd have been real worried about that door fan gimmick because that sounds like it's gonna clip you.
yeah, well, we were looking at it upstairs as they were setting stuff up, and not to pull the curtain back too much, but we were looking at it. You know, I'm not going to say who we was, but we were looking at it, and we were, what are we supposed to do with that? You know, like no, not at all. But the worst part about it is I guess to pull back the curtain. The worst part about it is once it's set up out there, the fans see it. You know what I mean? So you have to use it. You know, and unless, like for instance, you could have a heel come out and do something to destroy it. Like there was electrified light tubes in a match that I was in one time, and you know the guy will come out and like destroy the electrified light tube so you can't use it. You know what I'm saying? Before the match even begins, which I hate anyway because electrified light tubes is what almost killed or invite. So
Yeah, we don't need that.
yeah, yeah.
So to kind of switch gears just a little bit, like how did you like what made you want to become a ref and like how did you get to be where you are? Like have you
Right.
always liked wrestling?
Yeah. So I've literally been a fan of wrestling since I was a kid. You know, me and my little brother used to act like we were professional wrestlers and put on matches in our living room and all that. So, and wrestle around. And then later on in life, I ended up, I worked at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom here in the area. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. As I was saying earlier, I live real close to the arena, which is in the Louisville area. And so, but I ended up working at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom, and they used to do shows with OVW. And that was kind of like my first taste. Well, not really my first, but like, because I had went to OVW shows when I was younger, but they were organized, I guess, or somewhat ran by the fire department that my grandfather was chief at. And so, I was 12, 13. My little brother was like 3 or 4 years old. And we were hanging out with like John Morrison after the show. And he was like, just being a cool dude. Matt Morgan was another one that I had met back then when I was like, in my preteens or whatever. But like I said, fast forward, I was working at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom. And at this time, John Cena was, starting to really get big. And all, let's see what else. Santino Marella was still training at OVW, but he was doing like this Russian MMA gimmick called Boris something or other. But anyway, I was working at Six Flags, and I would work in the entertainment department, and I was like in charge of helping to set up the catering for all the different like entertainment shows that they would have come in. And like, for instance, OVW. I also worked at Kirk Franklin concert, and I met Kirk Franklin. He was so cool. But
Like OVW and Kirk Franklin. I can see the parallel.
Hey, similarities. So, and then also a birthday bash, and they had like O-Town and a few boy bands there. Like that was pretty cool. Worked at that. But yeah, so OVW, back to that. I was working backstage, hanging out with a few of the wrestlers, talking to them, and like my fandom was, because at the time, like I was watching, but I wasn't like hardcore watching. And my fandom was starting to like build back up, because I was just like, yo, like this literally is the perfect mixture of like theater and like sports, you know what I mean? And at that time I was in high school. I think it was in between my junior and senior year, which at that time I was playing football, I was doing theater, like, all that stuff. And so I was just like, this is literally like the perfect mixture of sports and sports and theater. And if I could ever find a way to do this, I will. But at the time, I was really hardcore in music. I was singing in professional choirs at that time. Used to sing in the Louisville Youth Choir here in Louisville, and we would perform all over the place. And then also used to sing in an R&B group. I went to a performing arts school. So I was deep in the music at that point, and ended up actually after high school starting to write music and make music on my own. And I used to do R&B and hip hop with some of the guys here in the Louisville hip hop scene. And then, so going back to your question though, I literally went to a show that was kind of like, I guess, somewhat like entry level. I don't want to like really like, trash them or anything like that. Cause it's like guys that, 40 milers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And granted, there were a few other people, like I met some other people that ended up having lifelong friendships with, and some of those people like ended up doing some pretty cool things. But at UWA, I ended up going because my cousin at the time was like part of the booking committee or something of that sort. It's my cousin's husband, but my cousin, whatever. Ended up going with him and would just show up to a few shows just because I loved wrestling, and I really loved watching live wrestling. And I would like jaw back and forth with the heels and really, really get into it. And I would end up staying after shows to help break down different stuff. And there was a show, don't remember exactly how it happened or what had happened, but there was a Royal Rumble, and they asked if I wanted to, help out and referee on the outside. They'll give me a shirt. And I was like, sure, cool, let's do it. And so that was really like how I got my foot in the door refereeing. And then, like I was saying earlier, once I like kind of put my mind to something and I want to do something, like I do it pretty, intensely, I guess. And so after that, like I was, well, I will say, because at the time I was still doing music, and music was still more the focus than wrestling was at the time. And that company ended up closing down, which was okay, because like I didn't really know much wrestling outside of that. There was other stuff, like IWA Mid-South was running in the area, OVW was running in the area, but like I guess I had blinders on, or whatever you want to call it. And I was just like, I'm cool doing what I'm doing here because I have so much other stuff going on. You know what I mean? But once that company had closed down, I was just like, cool, I guess wrestling isn't for me. Went back to doing the music stuff. Was opening for like artists that I grew up listening to, which was insane. And like Silk the Shocker from, No Limit. I opened for Lil White, which is insane. And Jelly Roll, a huge Jelly Roll fan. Like people that I never in a million years thought that I would end up opening for. And but then I'm trying to think of what happened. There was a benefit show. No, it was a birthday show. But it was like a personality in the area. He was having a birthday show, and I think he also books for a company or something too. They had a birthday show at the arena. Asked if my cousin wanted to come out and wrestle. And at the time, I was living right down the road. So I was like, cool, I'll come with you. And they let me referee. There was a guy there who he ended up was like, hey, I'm running a company at the arena every Sunday. You're a pretty decent referee. Would you like to come? And I was like, sure. And so I started showing up there, started doing it. And that literally is what led to me going to IWA Mid-South. A couple of the guys that were at that company were guys that had used to work for IWA back in the day. They gave me some pretty sound advice. Plus, there were guys coming in that worked at IWA at the time. And what's crazy is I actually, at the show that had got me back into it, I guess, or whatever, into wanting to do it again, that was the show that I met Max Recon at, AJ Kissinger. And I met him. Me and him had like a 2-hour long conversation. He was telling me how, referees aren't appreciated. But at the same time, there's not a lot of people who take it seriously. It's either guys who are like, just throwing a referee shirt, or it's guys who are training to be a wrestler. And this was, like I said, 2017-ish. And it's crazy because now it's completely not even like that, but I'll get to that in a second. But Max pretty much had this conversation with me. It was like, yo, if you want to do this, like, you need to take it serious and like do it. You know what I mean? And yeah, that's literally what happened. I came out to PWF, which was the show that Max Recon worked at the time. It was called Pro Wrestling Freedom. A lot of guys that had worked in the UWA locker room before that I'd worked at back in the day were at this company, and they were like, yo, we know this guy, we vouched for him. The bookers didn't know me, so they didn't want to give me an opportunity. And I literally went to IWA Mid-South the week after. And Ian was like, hey, I need a reliable ref. If you keep coming back, I'll pay you every week. And he did. So to his credit, say what you want about Ian. Every week that I was there, he paid me up until I wasn't there anymore. So, but yeah, going back to the question.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. Once I got my foot in the door of the professional wrestling business, there was no looking back. And, at the beginning, people were like, oh man, you think you might want to wrestle? And I was like, at the time I was like 28, 29. And the opportunities that I felt like I was getting, once I really started to take this more serious, the opportunities I felt like that I was starting to get, I wouldn't get if I was wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, because at least not in the amount of time that I did, because it was like a year, 2 years in, and I'm working with like Sugar Dunkerton and Eddie Kingston and, Myron Reed and Trey Miguel and Calvin Tankman and all these people on a weekly basis. And I'm just like, how did I get here? Like I still say that all the time. Like I have to pinch myself, but especially like real early in, I was just like, this is crazy,
Like, So you like wrestling is not a part of your past or future. You're not gonna start like wrestling tomorrow.
Nah, no, not at all. No, 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 nope. I did a little bit of training as far as like to be a wrestler when I had the one and only match that I've had, which I'm undefeated, so I might as well go out on top. Uh, you know, but yeah, I did some wrestling training then, and like I said, I'm pretty old and beat up. I beat myself up pretty good whenever I was playing football, and I'm not the most athletic anyway. So so like I said, and the opportunities and the people that I've gotten to work with, I don't know if I would have been able to get those opportunities, as quick as I did. You know what I mean? Some of the things that I felt like I was doing, it takes guys 5-10 years to get. You know what I mean? So
That's like it does sound like it went pretty fast for you once you started, but it sounds like a lot of things in wrestling is like, we need you today. Are you willing to do this today
yeah,
now?
right,
And then that's your thing. That's the thing that you do
right. You're
all the
there.
time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's literally like how I've gotten, most of the spots that I've gotten, because I don't, which it probably isn't a good trait of mine considering, the business that I'm in as far as the pro wrestling business, but I don't like to be a bother. I don't like to blow people up. I don't like to be like, hey, you want to use me? Hey, you want to use me? Like, or like, sending out generic message this and that with my resume. Like, I don't know. I just feel like that's such a bother because people deal with well, promoters and bookers deal with that so much anyway. But I will, if I see a certain promoter or booker at a show, I will definitely be like, hey man, would love to come and work for you guys. You know what I mean? Like, and then that way they can see my work, but yeah, literally a lot of times it's a matter of like, hey, I would love to come in for you guys, and then they'll be like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll be in contact, and I won't hear nothing for like 2 months, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, hey, are you available next weekend? And I'm like, man, there's a few times where that's worked in my favor. Um, where, for instance, Glory Pro, when because at the time KLD was with the company, and when Kev had hit me up, I was actually in my first booking in Los Angeles, and which was really really cool. Well, it was. Because it was a black craft show that got canceled, that was supposed to be in California, and that was why I was out there. But me being me, and working for the places that I've worked, I had a relationship with Sage Sin, so I was able to hop on her deathmatch tournament out there and was able to do that. So, but Kevin hit me up and he was like, "Hey, are you available?" I was like, "Nah, I'm in St. Louis." No, I'm in St. Louis. No, I'm in Los Angeles. And he was like, "Oh, dang. Okay, cool." Well, then he ended up hitting me up, I think like 2 or 3 weeks later. It was like, "Hey, are you available for this weekend?" And at that weekend I was. And and thank God I was, because I've been pretty much on every Glory Pro show since. So, because that was one thing that whenever I first started doing this, I really didn't have a whole lot of goals. You know what I mean? It was really just like, I want to have fun, and if I can make it my regular job. And but there was certain things I wanted to knock off, my bucket list, and one of those was I wanted to referee in St. Louis. I have a lot of family in St. Louis. I was born in St. Louis, so I was born in St. Louis, but I grew up in Louisville. So, and so like I really, really wanted to find a way to get into St. Louis, and so that was one guy, because I love Kev. He's one of my buddies, and I would bug Kev so much, and I would be like, "Hey man, please bring me in," and he'd be like, "I kind of got a full crew right now," and like he was always straight up and honest with me until the opportunity opened up, and I was like, "Cool, you got me now. You're stuck with me." So yeah, and now I've got 2 homes in St. Louis, which is pretty cool. So
So what, like, what else companies do you work with? Because I mean, I don't think I even know all of them, but I think it's a lot.
It is. Yeah, it is. There was at one point that I was working for like almost 15 different companies at a time. Yeah, it was that was a pretty crazy time though. But I will say 6 of them ran out of the Jeffersonville Arena. So so you know,
Not a lot of travel involved there, at least.
not at all, but but yeah, at like pretty much right now, Paradigm, Sanction Pro. I work for Black Label Pro, although I wasn't on their most recent show, but I still work for Black Label. I still talk to Mikey and Jess from Black Label all the time. And then Glory Pro, Wrestle Max, STL, Girl Fight. Let's see, what else? Man, I know I'm forgetting. ICW, of course, No Holds Barred. Let's see. New Wave Pro. Love those guys. Man, I'm forgetting some, I know, and I'm gonna feel like trash. but yeah, I wish I had a list in front of me, but I don't. So if I'm forgetting you, I'm so sorry.
He just doesn't like you as much as he likes everybody else.
I would have kicked myself in the ass if I would have forgotten New Wave, because that company is killing it and doing some great, great things.
I watched, I think it was Off the Grid maybe a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I love New Wave Pro. Like, that's a company that I would love to be able to get out and see at some point. I just like the people that they book. I like the style that they have.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, good stuff, man. They do some really cool things. Got like progressive storylines show by show that they tell, and then also bring in like, top talent. I believe on their next show, they're gonna have Alex Zane versus Aaron Williams, and that's insane.
Yeah, that'd be so dope.
Yeah.
So, what would you say has been your greatest achievement in wrestling so far?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Yeah, I'd probably say my daughter becoming a wrestling fan.
Oh,
for
that's
real.
Cute.
To be honest,
cute.
She loves it so much. It annoys her how much I love it sometimes, and she's 5. No, she's 6 now. She just turned 6 last month. She's 6 years old, and it's like, Daddy, are you gonna watch wrestling again? Like, So, but at the same time, she screams anytime Billy Starks comes out on the screen, or Alice Crowley or Charlie Cruel, or like, she loves women wrestling, female wrestling, just because there's a soft spot in my heart for that anyway, because I've been working for Girl Fight now for man, I'd say at least 3 to 4 years now, something like that. So yeah, and like there's so many talented, like, just wrestlers in general, you know what I mean? Like, and intergender wrestling, like, love it, you know what I'm saying? Because there's so many talented females who could kick some dudes' asses, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, got a very soft spot for women's wrestling, and the fact that my daughter is such a big fan, it warms my heart. So, other than that, it would probably be, I've some of the matches that I've reffed were matches that I never thought that I would get a chance to work with, certain people. Like, I'd say probably still my favorite match that I ever refereed was Leo Rush and ACH, which that kind of just fell in my lap. Like, I wasn't even supposed to be on that show, and Chris, kind of hooked me up and got me on spring break. So yeah. But at the same time, I've ref so many crazy, matches that I'd never even imagined in my life that I would have, refereed. But I don't know. That one also was special just because of the crowd that we were in front of. It was GCW Spring Break in Indianapolis. Huge crowd. That venue was so cool. So, but yeah, I'd say that would probably be my favorite match, as far as like crowning achievement, or anything like that, just because also too, the position that both of those guys were in at that time, they had both just got released, at certain, well, I think ACH had been released for a little bit, or no, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they'd both been released. I feel like they were released not very far apart from each other.
No, yeah, it wasn't all, yeah. So, and then for them to go out and have the match they did was just like, whew, man, it was crazy, crazy.
Yeah, that was, so I went to the Collective in Indiana. That was the first time I'd ever really like traveled for wrestling.
No,
And due to I think he was in the chat. I think Reed was in the chat. Thank you, Reed. Had extra front row tickets for spring break. So I was front row for spring break. And like that whole show was like just electric. Like I had so much fun. And like
absolutely.
that really like put me on to like traveling for wrestling, which is going to be the death of me now.
Right, right. Well, and like, that's the thing. Like, there's so much going on that, like, it's crazy to think that now when I go to the arena, it's like, man, like I kind of sort of miss this place, so because I'm like gone so much, you know what I mean? And I'm always other places. Like, it kind of gives me a good feeling to be like, hey, hey, when's the next time, like a family member or somebody at work, or somebody who acts like a friend who might act like they're going to come to a show, will be like, hey, when's the next show in the area? And I'm like, actually, I don't have one this month, so
Like you say, friend that's gonna act like they're gonna go to a show.
you know
Yeah.
I have quite a few of those. I have, which I don't want to shit on anybody, but I have music friends who are wrestling fans, who one in particular was sponsored by Collar and Elbow and WWE Shop. Like, he's that hard of a wrestling fan. Also watches MLW, and and is a big fan of certain wrestlers on there. Like, for instance, he's asked me about Mance Warner and Myron Reed and all these guys. And also, these guys are friends with one of the co-owners of Paradigm, and have still never been to a show. Not going to mention any names, but if you're watching or listening, you know who I'm talking about.
You know if it's you and you're being called out.
They keep swearing they're going to come, and one of these days, man. So, but now it's crazy because they've asked about Mance, and that kind of made me chuckle, because I was like, yeah, you could have came to see Mance a long time ago. But then he started asking about Myron, and I'm like, yo, like, Myron literally lives in the same city that we all, you know what I mean? And like, now I'm trying to like create some kind of synergy to where, because Myron does music, and I would love for Myron to work with some of my friends from my, past life, you know what I mean? And do some really cool, dope things. But we'll see what happens.
I was gonna say, isn't Myron like from the same area that you're
Yeah.
in?
Yeah, that's one of the cars that I ride to places with. So that's one of my riding buddies. Me and Myron, love that dude so much, man. He's such a good dude.
What has been the greatest obstacle you've overcome in wrestling?
Oh, let's see.
Or have you never had any obstacles and everything was just super easy for you?
Oh, no. I've definitely had some obstacles. No, I absolutely had some obstacles. Um, Probably have to say, finding time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To really like, because I run myself really thin. I really do. And whether it had been, trying to be a family man and all that whenever I first started in the business, or now as a single dad, different stuff. I would say probably like just finding the time to even like sleep, you know. That's probably right now currently, one of my biggest obstacles. Um, but man, like I've really been fortunate to be around like some really good people and to be in some like really dope locker rooms, and been fortunate to have people who wanted to help out and throw me in cars and help me get opportunities and different stuff, because and also too, I got in the business at a really good time. 2017 was literally like the beginning of a lot of things starting to formulate to where like now, indie wrestling is where it's at, you know what I mean? And so, but at the same time, like you didn't have your paradigms, you didn't have a lot of things like that back then, you know what I mean? But yeah, I've been really fortunate as far as like to do the things that I've done and be a part of the things that I've been a part of. I would say probably, yeah, either that or controlling my temper sometimes, because there has been some dumb shit that I've had to deal with, just because, there's dumb people in the business, and I have a bit of a temper, and I really don't handle my stress well sometimes. So I can get pretty set off if I get pissed off. And there's been times where I had to literally like calm myself down, so I didn't do anything stupid.
So you kind of hit on this a couple different times, but to kind of get to some of like your more like road stories, who's your typical wrestle car? Like, who are your road buddies? Like, who do you travel with?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I think that right now the most often I ride with the Remix. Murdoch, Satu, Akira, and Reed, most of the time, some of the time. And that's usually the carload, as far as like the ICW and stuff like that, which, we do ICW shows now, it feels like at least once or twice a month, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with those guys quite a bit. As I was saying, Myron, me and him will go to Glory a lot. And a lot of times we'll have, because Myron is really, really good about trying to leave the business better than you found it. And he has like Nakeem and the Awesome Odyssey and different guys that he's like taken under his wing, and is really trying to help out. And so those guys will come to Glory with us and stuff. But unfortunately, Missouri has a licensing process and stuff. So that's the only reason why you really haven't probably seen them on a Glory show yet. But we're working on that. We're working on it. But yeah, so Myron is another one that I ride a lot of places with. Shane Mercer is a guy that I've rode quite a bit with. Actually, that's how. You there?
Oh,
there
yeah. I lost you for a hot second, but you're back.
Yeah, we're good.
I thought you were gonna big time me, but I'm glad you came back.
We're good. But yeah, Shane is a guy who that was probably one of the first people that I hopped in a car with, and started going to like, I'm trying to think. Resistance Pro was somewhere that we went. Heroes and Legends, different stuff. Actually, matter of fact, the world famous the famous bleacher spot that Mercer did, that was literally because I saw him at IWA the week before, and I was like, "Hey, where are you booked this weekend?" And he said Chicago, and I didn't have anything that weekend, so I just was like, "Can I ride with you?" And ended up going up there. We get to the venue. His tag team partner was unable to be at the show, and he figured that it was either going to be he knew that the match was going to end up being a handicap match, and it was Shane against the Gymnasty Boys. And so he was like, I'm going to have to do something like crazy. And that's what it was. He didn't even practice that bleacher spot, didn't even like, gauge it to see like, let's see, can I like lift this? Like nothing. He literally just went out there, was doing the match, went over to the bleachers, and started using them Terry Funk style. Like, yeah, crazy stuff. But yeah, who else? There's somebody that I ride with quite a bit. Freddie. I ride with Freddie a lot of places. Actually, let me go ahead and shout that guy out because Freddie Hudson, man, at the time when we were down in Tampa for WrestleMania week this past year, Freddie actually lived in Tampa at that time period. He ended up moving back like right afterwards. I think he was like, "Oh, I miss my guys," because everybody came down to where he lived, and then he ended up moving back up here like within the month, So, but Freddie hit me up and pretty much was like, "Hey, bro, while you're down here for WrestleMania weekend, don't pay for an Uber," because he knew that I had shows at both, like 81 Brewing and also at the Collective, and he was like, "Don't pay for an Uber. I got you. Anything you need, I got you." And he literally was like my taxi for the week, and love that dude so much, man. Like Freddie's such a good guy. I know that y'all have beef right now, but let me not put him over too much.
No, it's fine. Freddie's a good guy.
Cicada.
The cicada.
But yeah, good dude. He actually this past weekend I rode up to Unsanctioned Pro with was Freddie. So another dude that I ride quite a bit with. Yeah, I'm blessed to have some really dope people. Oh, Big Beef, another riding partner of mine. There's some really, really good wrestlers that live in this area. And they all like to travel, thank God. So they don't want to wrestle in this area.
That's fair. So when you're on the road, like, what do you listen to? Like, what's your go-to road music or podcast or whatever you put in your ear holes?
Well, I don't have a reliable car to get all the places, and I don't drive. So normally it's whoever's car
You're
we're
at the
in.
mercy of.
Yeah, well, but although I will say, I will we'll rotate with the rejects car as far as the driving duty go, and a lot of times it's just I'll just put it on my Spotify library and just hit scramble and whatever pops up. The reject, actually, it was pretty funny. Me and Satu had a moment because and Murdoch, and this is going to surprise the hell out of some people. So I'm a theater geek, love musical theater. And so Les Mis is a go-to of mine especially on the road because I love singing along to it. So we're sitting here and we're driving along, and also another one that I like to listen to, Sweeney Todd, one of my favorite musicals. I think Sweeney Todd was the one that was playing, and Murdoch, which he's normally asleep, but he ends up waking up out of his sleep and he goes, "Is that Sweeney Todd?" I said, "Murdoch, what you know about some Sweeney Todd?" He goes, "Oh, I love that movie." I was like, "Hell yeah, that's awesome, cool." And then Satu, he did the same thing for Les Mis because apparently he's a Les Mis fan, and he was like, "Dude, is that Les Mis?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." So
It's out here exposing the rejects like that.
Hey, I mean, it's just music, they'll still kick your ass.
I wouldn't take them on at all.
Right. I mean, you want to make fun of them for liking musicals?
I love musicals, and so absolutely not. And even if I didn't love musicals, absolutely not.
Right.
Right. I ain't gonna get that smoke. No, thank you.
Nope.
Not today, not tomorrow, not next week.
Exactly.
But while we're on the topic of musicals, other than Sweeney Todd and apparently Les Mis, what other ones do you go
to? Let's see. I like Rent. Rent's a good one. Let's see. I like Grease. Love Grease. I actually was in Peter Pan, a musical production of Peter Pan that was pretty cool.
Were you Peter Pan?
No, I wasn't. I was one of the pirates.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
well, and what was funny was, so you're a theater kid, I'm assuming.
I am not good enough to do theater, but I enjoy watching musical theater. Yes.
Okay, well, I figured. Well, you've seen High School Musical, right? So no, well, that's another favorite of
I'm
mine.
old.
I
I'm
love
old.
High School, man. High School Musical was amazing. But um, what was I going to say? Whenever we did Peter Pan, everyone thought that I was like, well, as far as like the theater department, everyone thought that I was the shoe in for Hook, and everybody's like, "Oh, you got Hook," it's Sean, like for sure. But then the director wanted to do like I guess like a comedy concept when it came to Hook, and he had Captain Hook being this like short, small dude who had a ton of character, like really, really funny dude, and he actually killed the part. Not a great singer, so like the singing stuff was a little rough, but and they even, which I was a little bit irritated about this, but they even like suggested me being in the back while he sang, and I was like, come on, guys, like really. Yeah,
Have him
yeah,
lip sync over you?
yeah. You know
That's
what I mean?
that's messed up.
It's
I've seen
crazy.
the video that's on Twitter. I know you can sing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, but and well, and then I was to say, and the character of Smee, which normally would be smaller than Hook, was like this big, like imposing dude. And it was kind of just like I said, it was for comedic purposes and stuff. But everybody thought that they were going to take it a little bit more serious than that. But yeah, everybody thought I was a shoe in for Hook, and I wasn't. So, but it is what it is.
So I guess, and it's weird, musical theater part is apparently like a normal thing now, because a lot of the wrestlers that I've spoken with and people in wrestling that I've spoken with are like into it, which is kind of cool, but like a little surprising. Like
a
I've talked to a
little,
lot of people that like it.
a little, but it's not super surprising to me. Just because of how much theatrics there are in professional wrestling, you know what I'm saying? And how much acting has a lot to do with it, you know what I'm saying? So
But Sweeney Todd, Rent, and Les Mis are your like go-to three.
Les Mis is number one, and will always be number one. I still, I listen to it all the time. I've probably watched it a good 50 times, as far as like the movie. Although the movie kind of gets on my nerves only because of Russell Crowe, literally only because of Russell Crowe. So, but um, uh, I had seen Les Mis my freshman year of high school at the performing arts school that I went to. That was the big performance of the year that they were doing. Normally they would do, I think, 2 musicals each semester, and then they would have straight plays throughout or whatever at the performing arts school that I went to. And at the time, at that semester, Les Mis was the production, and I had went to see maybe opening night, I want to say it was, and I fell in love. And I was just like, this literally Les Mis, I feel like, is one of those stories that offers everything. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be a good love story, a good family, a family story or whatever, a story of hardships, a war story. Like Les Mis literally has everything as far as that goes. So that's definitely like my I love Les Mis so much. And then yeah, I'd say Sweeney Todd, because I had a buddy who was really into it, and we would listen to the music a lot. And then once the movie came out, I was sold. Like that movie is incredible with Johnny Depp, so good. So, but yeah, those are probably my top two, and I definitely listen to those a lot. Other than that, man, I'm a big hip hop fan. Well, to be completely honest, I listen to every genre. But like my go-tos are like hip hop, R&B, especially like 2000s hip hop, 2010s hip hop. Not really big on the new stuff so much. But
Looking like a true old person.
right. I know. I do feel old. It is what it is. So
I say it all the time. So what would be the most surprising thing that someone would like that would come on and you'd be like, hell yeah, and like jam to, other than the musical stuff?
The most surprising that I would jam to?
Yeah.
I would probably say like some boy band shit. Love me some boy band stuff, man. The 90s was a good time. You know what I mean?
Who's your favorite boy band?
See, I would probably have to go to Backstreet Boys every time. Big Backstreet Boys, BSB all day. But then also too, I was big on NSYNC also too back in the day. So still a big Justin Timberlake fan to this day. So but Backstreet's music was just incredible, man. Like the stuff that they was making. But yeah, that'd probably be the most surprising. Love me some Justin Bieber. He makes some pretty dope stuff. Yeah, probably. What's funny is shout out to my Z-bro Aaron Grider. We keep telling him that he needs to start posting his playlist because he will make road trip playlists. Oh, going back to that question, god damn, how did I forget, man? Probably one of the people that I ride with the most, as far as like, because I was mentioning wrestlers, I ride with Aaron Grider all over the place, whether it be to unsanctioned pro like we did this past weekend. I rode home with him, or just up the road to the arena. He'll come and pick me up. So Aaron is probably like one of the people that I ride with the most. And when we have long road trips, whether it be to like St. Louis, because he works with me at WrestleMax, or New Wave Pro, because he's at that's the one I mentioned earlier that looks like Drew Carey. He will make these elaborate playlists, and it will have the most random stuff on it that you're just like, all right, here we are. It'll go from like Creed to Taylor Swift to like Miley Cyrus to Backstreet Boys to just the most random stuff that you would be like, all right, cool. 80s stuff. He'll throw it in there every now and then.
Yeah, he absolutely should post this playlist.
He has a couple times. You could find it if you scroll, but yeah, we will definitely after this, I will make it a point to be like, yo, Val said you need to do that like every freaking time. So
I'm always looking for interesting mixes and like songs I forgot that I liked.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's what he's good for.
It's like, oh man, I don't remember. Totally forgot about this band that I listened to in 2006, but now that I know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, what's your go-to like road snacks? Like, I'm a big snack gal, so I like to hear about what people snack on.
Man, like I'm not big on snack stuff. I'm more like I eat, you know what I mean? Like I love food, just in general. So like if we stop somewhere and it's got a fast food joint, I'm probably gonna stop and try and get something real fast. Just because, whether it be a chicken chipotle melt from Taco Bell, that I can eat down real quick, or, whatever. But as far as like snacks go, I'm honestly not really a big snack person. I always got to have a drink all the time, just because like I I have cotton mouth, way too much, and especially once you're in the car and you get to talking and stuff, you get worse cotton mouth, and so I always got to have a drink on deck. I'm a big Bang guy, love Bang, and then other than that, I love my Dr. Pepper. So
Dr. Pepper is top tier, so I can understand why you would feel that way.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, facts. You are not wrong at all. Dr. Pepper is the greatest.
I was so mad. Me and my friends went to Waco, Texas for like wrestling. It was terrible, but we were there. And there's a Dr. Pepper museum, and we didn't get to go, and I was really broken up about it.
Oh my gosh. That's terrible. Well, there's a Bass Pro in my area, and we had went one year. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and they had this. It was around Christmas time, mind you, but they had this like Christmas tree decoration thing set up, and it was all around it, like going all the way up, was Dr. Pepper flavored barbecue sauce.
Ooh.
Like what? At the time, I was broke, and so I couldn't get it. But I took a picture of it and I sent it to like a couple people, and I was like, "Yo, if y'all want to get me anything for Christmas, give me this." And nobody did, but
Oh, yeah, no, I love barbecue sauce. It's my favorite condiment. And also I love Dr. Pepper. And
So
that sounds bomb.
doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, there's got to be somewhere that you could find that these days. I'm sure somebody has done that again since.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably make your own, but I mean, it sounds tedious.
Right. Yeah. Who's got time for that?
I ain't got time for that. So, what wrestling word do you use most outside of wrestling?
Gimmick. This gimmick or that gimmick. I'll also say shoot a lot, because I'll be talking about either, the shoot job or dang, he's shooting on him, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that would probably be the two. I use gimmick entirely too much. And sometimes I don't even notice when I'm saying it. And like, for instance, I'll be talking to somebody at my shoot job, and I'll be like, "Hey, what was that gimmick over there that he was talking about? Whatever, like something like that." But yeah,
Gimmick, I hear a lot when I ask that question. Mine is probably oh, that pop me. I get that one a
pop.
lot.
Yeah, pop is another one I use a lot for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
The other one, shoot, I use a lot, like my shoot job and my shoot name.
Yeah, shoot name. Yeah.
And then, the other one I use is heat. Like, oh man, I got heat.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't use it as much, but I can see where that is definitely plausible.
So what you're a traveling guy, you travel a lot, you travel with really interesting groups of people. So I know that you have to have at least one like super good road story, something that was either like really funny or memorable or exciting that you can talk about. And if you need to like not tell who it was, like you can do that. You can censor any identifying parts of this story to protect people from sounding like ding dongs.
Well, no, I really don't have any like too many stories of people doing anything stupid during a road trip. I will say, which I mean, I've told this story before on go ahead and cheap plug for my own podcast. I got you 5 stars, but so on our way to Boardwalk Buds, we ended up getting into a car crash and hit a deer. And that was probably one of the crazy experiences. Like, just the fact that we even made it to that show was wild. That was with the Rejects. It was myself, Reed Bentley, Satu, Murdoch, Akira, and Neil, I believe, was with us also. And we ended up, yeah. Oh, and then also too, we were with the what were they called? Deathmatch, Love Letter, whatever that company was called. And they had rented the vehicle that we were in, but we were on our way to Boardwalk Buds, and we had actually left early to get there in pretty decent time. And about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, we ended up hitting a deer in the middle of West Virginia, like an hour from any kind of civilization whatsoever. And like I said, 2-3 o'clock in the morning, We're trying to get a hold of all kind of different people. And a couple people acted like they were going to come and get us, but nothing really ended up formulating. And finally, I'd say around 3-ish, we were just like, okay, there's nothing that we could do. And we all just laid our head down and passed out in the van at some random gas station in the middle of West Virginia. So then we wake up at about 6 a.m. and we start trying to, hit people up, seeing what we could do, if anything could work. And we were hitting up, the rental car place to see if we could have somebody bring a car to us, anything that we could get. And nothing was really like happening at all. The car was completely totaled. So we definitely weren't going anywhere. And it got to be about noonish, I want to say. Or no. It wasn't that quite deep in the day yet. It was probably about 10 o'clock, 10 or 11-ish. And this random lady pulls up and she goes, she was asking us what was going on. We told her, and she was like, unfortunately, I can't take you guys to where you all need to be, because she was driving a government issued car for work. And she was like, I have a camera in the car, whatever. She said, but I could use my phone and I'll see what I can do. She ended up getting a hold of the same enterprise that we called. And I don't know what this lady said to them or how sternly she said it, but they ended up sending a car out to us to come and get us. We had to drive to the enterprise, which was an hour back, like hour backtracking, drive to the enterprise, hit the road. And if you watch that Pit Fighter show, that was why Satu and Murdoch's match were, there we go.
All right.
Good. My battery's getting low.
No.
That was why their matches ended up going so late, was because of the fact that we were trying to rush down the Jersey Turnpike like as quick as we possibly could, to make sure that we made it to this show, because at this point we were like, yo, like after all we've been through, it was even to the point of where like Chris Levin was like, hey, if you don't feel like reffing tonight, it's okay. We got 2 more shows, because it was Boardwalk Buds.
Oh, I lost your audio. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Sorry. You turned into
Okay.
Optimus Prime for a hot second.
Okay. Yeah, but Chris Levin, he was like, if you want to take the night off, it's okay. It's fine. I understand. I said, bro, hell no. I said, after everything that I've been through, I have to get in that ring, because, well, on a quick side note, like the ring is my happy place. You know what I'm saying? That's where like nothing else matters. Anything that's going on bullshit wise in my life, like, I was going through a divorce and I had wrestling to, basically turn to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know what I mean? Like it was literally my happy place. And so that was why with Chris, I was like, nah, I need to be in that ring. I have to do that. You know what I mean? And so that was probably the most stressful car ride I've ever been in, just because we really did not think that we were going to make it whatsoever. We almost gave up hope. Reed Bentley actually gave up hope. He was like, nah, we're not making it, guys. Ain't no way. We're at least going to miss that first show. We're not making it, guys. Ain't no way. And we made it. Sure as hell, we made it. We even got that deer chant and all that during the main event. So good times.
Yeah, that I remember like that occurring, and because I was watching on IWTV, because what else am I gonna do? But I remember that happening, and like that's crazy that like y'all got there and that nobody was like injured at all in the accident.
And yeah, so fortunate for that. Absolutely, the fact that nobody was injured. And well, I didn't even really get into like the craziness. Like the craziest part was like, I was, I guess, blessed with the unfortunate task of being the last leg of the drive. And so once we had got to, I guess, the Jersey Turnpike or whatever it is to go from Philly to Atlantic City, that last hour and a half or whatever, I was the one that was driving. And, we're already an hour, 2 hours into the show, maybe, by the time that we were, still 30 minutes out. And like, for instance, well, put it this way. We were in the car and they were all starting to get dressed in the car while watching on IWTV. Like, they were watching the show. And they were like, Dale and Tank were sitting there, or not Dale. Yeah, it was Dale and Tank. Dale and Tank were sitting there like putting in time. And we were like, yeah, boys, come on, stall, baby. But yeah, and then like what the funniest part was, I'm sitting here getting stressed because I'm like, guys, I would like to get dressed too. Like I want to work. And they're like, no, Sean, just keep driving. We don't have time to stop. And I'm like, all right, if this is what we're doing, y'all hand me my bag. I'm gonna get dressed while I'm driving. So I'm literally going like 70, 80 down this highway, trying to still get dressed and put my ref shit on, to get us to this show. It was madness. So much madness.
I wonder what that looked like from somebody passing. Like, big fucking dudes. Like,
well, to be fair though, I was passing them. So because I was definitely, like NASCAR, weaving in and out, gave no fucks, like just hope to God that no cop was around. So
worked out.
It did. Yeah, it definitely did. Oh, hold on.
Oh,
we're back. Okay.
Are you dying?
No, I got my phone plugged in. We're good.
Okay, cool. I was like, because like I can hustle through and we can like end this right now if you want to.
Nah, we good. We good.
It's been going on long enough now. I knew this was gonna go long because I talk way too much. And
same here.
Oops.
That's why we have, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Who would have ever thought that this wouldn't go exceptionally long? At least there's nobody telling me to go home, so it's fine. Right. So, what would you go back and tell a 10-year-old version of yourself? Like, knowing all that you know now, if you could go back to yourself as a child, like, what would you tell yourself?
Wow, that's a great question. Because it's kind of crazy because I'm literally doing what I wanted to do when I was that age. Whether it be, singing in front of a crowd, and having them sing songs along with me that I wrote, or whether it be, being in the wrestling business or just being a part of the wrestling business. Of course, at that time period, I, wanted to be, a wrestler or whatever. I used to call myself the Monster or something like that, or something, the Beast or something. And, but, plans work out the way. I guess that would be the one thing that I would tell my former self as a child, is, everything's going to work out like you want it to, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I always wanted to be singing in front of, X amount of people. It never did. It never amounted to the amount of people I really wanted it to be, as far as like, thousands, but to have a crowd of 100, singing Panties with me, it's pretty cool.
If y'all haven't seen that on Twitter, find that on Twitter.
I call that song my freaky joint. So when I go to introduce it, I'll ask the crowd like, so you guys want to hear something a little freaky? So, dude, like I've sang that song at the Kentucky Museum of Arts and Crafts, like with them singing along with me and singing back, like it's crazy. And then also too, on the flip to be in the wrestling business just in general. It was all part of the plan. You know what I mean? One or the other is what I wanted to do when I was a kid, and I'm literally living my dream, you know?
So is there anywhere we can find your music? Like, is it on Spotify or like YouTube?
I have, because when I was doing music, it was the age of SoundCloud, and everybody had a SoundCloud back then. So I do have a SoundCloud where you could find my stuff. It is, I believe it's still soundcloud.com/whiteboysean P, which, before anybody wants to come for me, the reason why the white boy nickname comes from the fact that in a lot of circles, I was the only white dude. In the R&B group that I sang in, I was the only white guy. And so when I sang backup for an R&B singer and a rapper here in Louisville, people would refer to me as Tez's white boy, you know? So, so like, kind of like the man bun, you know? Nobody really knows my name, but they're like, oh, that's the white boy. Okay, I know you are, you know? So, so yeah, that's where that came from. But soundcloud.com/whiteboysean. I have like 2 or 3 tracks up there. Then I have a couple of tracks that I'm featured in that is also on there. So say there's probably like 5 or 6 tracks in total that's up there still. But that's really about it. I didn't get like a whole lot recorded, at least finished. I did record some stuff, but I'm a perfectionist, and I didn't feel like it was ready, and blah blah blah, whatever. So I had what I had released, and yeah. So if you want to hear it, you can. But I don't know. I still don't think it's all that good.
Well, you're your own worst critic, and
Absolutely.
everyone go check out that SoundCloud. I know that I'm gonna. So I want to hear all that.
Well, and what's crazy is that the panties track isn't even on there. So if you want to see that one, literally check out my Twitter. And I think it's probably on my Instagram also as well. But yeah, if you want to hear that one, it's that you can only see that one or hear it live, because I did have it up there. And every time I would listen to it, there's a couple of little things that like I said, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm just like, nope. And I deleted it off of SoundCloud, and was like, also too, though, I had some pretty like, I guess, prominent names for Louisville as far as like musicians go and artists in this city who are offering to like buy that track from me and stuff. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to bring this one back, you know? So, and what's really cool is, so with me not working at IWA Mid-South anymore, it's kind of given me opportunities to, you know, be back in the music scene and do certain things. And I've been hosting an open mic again. And and there will be people that will show up to the open mic. And anytime that I host a show, I'll always do at least 1 or 2 of my old songs from 2016, 15. And like, somebody will come in and they'll hear me singing, you know, something from back in the day, especially Panties. And they're like, dude, like, that song is so timeless. It's crazy how timeless it is. And it's wild to be like, yo, like, how, I don't have a timeless song. Like, shut up, you know? But so that one will come back. If you want to check out Panties, you got to check it out on my Twitter and Instagram. But on my SoundCloud, I do got some pretty cool stuff. So yeah, go ahead and check it out if you want.
Oh yeah. So I just have a couple more questions, and then we'll go to questions from chat. I feel like chat was popping, so I think we have a lot of questions from chat.
Awesome.
And
I'm
then,
here for it.
hell yeah. And then yeah, we'll do questions from chat. We'll do the lightning round, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. So the last few of my questions, and then questions from chat. So you and I talk in Twitter Spaces. I enjoy Twitter Spaces quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've met and connected with a bunch of really cool people through Twitter Spaces, and I mention it because this is a shout out to Twitter Spaces question.
Mm-hmm.
So what? Not the weird one, the better one. What What is the biggest animal you could take in a fight with just your hands, no weapons? And
Oh
you can
man.
pretend that they're attacking you if it makes you feel better.
um, that I could take with my hands, no weapon.
I'm losing audio on you again.
Oh, oh, are we good now?
Okay, yep, gotcha.
We good? Okay. Wow, that's a toughie. I don't know, maybe like a dog, maybe a deer, something like that.
You really want to try your hand at a deer again?
Well, okay. I didn't say a buck.
Okay. Maybe a doe or a little fawn, maybe a little baby deer.
Something like that. Right. Yeah. The only thing I got to worry about is their strong legs. You know what I mean? They might kick me or something while we're fighting. So, because I don't think they bite too much, but that would be the issue with dogs. Because I've gotten tore up by a Chihuahua even before. So, but I couldn't. I unfortunately have too much of a heart, and I couldn't just punt the little thing. So, but yeah, I that probably that I could actually like win the fight. I would definitely probably like say somewhere around there. Because anything bigger than that, man, I don't know. I'm probably getting trampled. Like I don't have a whole lot of strength. I'm not like the strongest. You know what I'm saying? I do pack a punch, so that's why I think maybe I might be able to knock out a deer. You clip it right in the jaw. But
I like that you really thought this through.
no, yeah, I did. Like it was a really good question. Really good question.
So, how do you take your pancakes?
I like my pancakes with chocolate chips.
Hell
For
yeah.
sure. And maple syrup. Love maple syrup.
Hell yeah.
Gotta have butter on it too, for sure. Definitely gotta have some butter.
Is there anything else you like to put on your pancakes?
I mean, if you want to throw some whipped cream on it too and get a little dangerous, I mean, we could do that. But
That's fair. If I'm gonna have chocolate chip pancakes, I like to use peanut butter.
See, I'm allergic to peanut butter.
No.
And peanut. Yeah.
You're allergic to peanuts?
Fun fact for everybody out there: if you ever want to kill me, yeah.
See, you think if you ever want to kill me, I think if I want to bring you a delicious baked good, peanut butter cookies are not the way to go.
Oh, see, and yes, and that's why I appreciate.
Like how not to kill you.
Right. Thank you.
That's
but yeah,
the last thing I want to do.
Yeah. So, well, it won't necessarily like kill me. It just makes my throat swell up pretty bad. I'm sure if I ate enough of it, but normally I'm able to be like, oh crap, there's peanuts in this. So, however, there was one time, I was at some kind of like housewarming party or something crazy, and there was a kind of like one of those cheese balls, but it was like a dessert ball. And it had the lid popped open, and you could take like cookies or whatever and dip it in it and stuff, and it looked all chocolatey and delicious. And I was like, let me try some of this, and so I did, and I ate some. Fire, so good. And then I go to walk away, and all of a sudden I'm like, my throat, what's going on? And I'm like, oh no. And so I go to look at the thing, and I go to fold the flap over. And sure enough, it was a Snickers flavored dessert bar. But let me tell you though, if that's any resemblance of how a Snickers tastes, I can see why people like them the way that they do. So I would probably take an EpiPen for one of those. So
like on your deathbed, like you're old, you're laying in your deathbed, you're like, hit me with a Snickers, baby, let's go.
Hey, Snickers and Reese's, like people talk about them so much that I'm just like,
they're so good.
Oh, like I want to try Reese's like really bad, but I know that it would kill me. So
Like, I'm so sorry. You've never been able to experience a Reese's. But like, and they just came out with like a new like candy bar variant where it's like, I got hair in my mouth. That's cute. Where it's like Reese's peanut butter with like bits of peanut in it and like in chocolate, and it is people out there, go find one of these damn things, because like straight up addicted. Got my best friend hooked on them, and I am so sorry that you will never be able to have one.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
My sincerest condolences.
But now you know.
I won't bring it up. So now I'm gonna set a scene for you. Like you, so just like relax, like follow me, like take the journey with me. So you decide that you're hungry and you want something sweet, and so you go to the store and you're like walking around and you kind of wind down the cookie aisle and you're like, I love cookies. Cookies sound great. And you're looking at all the cookies and there's so many cookies. But you're like, I want America's favorite cookie, which is the Oreo. And you go to Oreos, there's like a bazillion other like weird flavors, things that shouldn't be Oreos, but they are for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, eschew all of this. I want just like a regular like chocolate cookie, creamy middle, like OG flavored Oreo. But then like there's still options, right? Because you can get like regular Oreos, or you can get like double stuffed Oreos, or you can get like the thin Oreos. So like, which Oreo are you going for?
You know, actually, I wouldn't go for either of those. I'm more like the mini Oreos that you can pop in your hand and just, pop them.
Okay. So you're like an Oreo by the handful kind of guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Other than that, it's got to be the OG ones, for sure. The double stuff is just a little bit too much stuffing for me, I guess.
I mean, I'm not going to say that there's a correct or incorrect answer to this question, but that was the incorrect answer to this question, because double stuffed is the GOAT. I don't know what's wrong with you people. At least you didn't pick the thins, I guess.
Nah, yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Nah, because I do like the filling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good. It's just double stuff is too much for me. So, but if I had to go to, it would definitely be the minis, because I like to pour them out in my hand and just throw a handful in my mouth.
So what I'm hearing is you can't handle this stuff. Got it.
It just got a little dirty.
Gonna defer to Chuck for questions from chat, but I did just want to shout out Vic Sage, who says, now I know why fans hate him.
Jeez.
Okay. I mean,
hey.
And they want him banned too.
They want me banned?
Yep, for the OG Oreo answer, if it wasn't the minis.
Yeah, see? We're a double stuff kind of people.
Yes. We are a double stuff podcast.
Okay.
So yeah.
But it was the minis first, though.
Yes.
Minis.
And you know what? I could get down with that, because I completely understand the theory behind that. You just have all that, but then I think about it as I digress. I think about it. And I'm like, but yeah, there's not a lot of cream. There's not a lot of stuff in between the cookies.
You're right. Yeah, true.
So,
true.
Either way, we still love you. We're still good.
Do we though?
Well, you might not.
Wow.
Vic wants double stuffed minis. That would be amazing.
Oh man, he's getting dangerous.
Let's do it. I like it.
Yeah, let's double stuff those minis.
Yes, let's
Um,
do it. Okay, so we do have some questions from the chat tonight. So I'm going to go down, and I don't think you touched on some of these, but if you didn't, I missed it. I apologize. So Craig O'Mac had the first question of the night. He wants to know, what is your favorite match that you've reffed?
I would probably have to go with Leo and ACH, which I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
But there's a few others that that I would definitely have to put up there. You know, anything with Aaron Williams, anything with Jake Christ, and you put those two together, Aaron and Jake. They've had so many matches that is ridiculous. Also, there was a match early in my career that there was a really cool like build and backstory to, and that was Mance Warner against Matt Riddle, or Riddle on WWE television now or whatever. And that was just a fight. You know, say what you want about Matt Riddle, your opinions about him now. But back then at that time period, it was 2018-ish. I watched him on The Ultimate Fighter back whenever he was on it. And so I was very familiar with him. However, his personality just annoyed the crap out of me. And so, but when he got fired from the UFC for what he got fired for, if you don't know what he got fired for, look it up. And then also was very outspoken about that cause, and then ended up in pro wrestling. I was just like, hey man, it'd be cool if I got in the locker room with that guy one day, you know. And sure enough, it happened, kind of spoken into existence, and it was against my favorite wrestler because, fun fact, and well, I don't know if this question will come up, but it might. My favorite wrestler across the board is Mance Warner. So yeah, I would probably say that's a few of them, either Leo Rush and ACH or Mance and Matt Riddle.
Next question is from Colton Ryder, 21. He wants to know, since you've reffed Tommy, I'm assuming Vendetta, a couple of times, what are your thoughts on him?
I'm a big Tommy Vendetta guy. And I love how much he has progressed. Just, I feel like, well, at least since I've like came across him, because the first time that I worked with Tommy was at Glory Pro. And he was like a sidekick, I guess you want to call it, to Jake something. And this was before like he really started getting some steam. And then, you know, some Michigan companies started using him more often. You know, he started getting some horror slam looks. He started getting the RPW looks, you know, and stuff like that. And to see, well, put it this way. I worked with him this past weekend at the Paradigm Show, and he is just oozing so much confidence, man, right now. And he's doing some really, really dope work. So I love Tommy Vendetta.
Nice. Okay, so next one is from Vic Sage, and we're talking ref shirts. Do you prefer the striped ones, all black polos, or some other type of ref shirt?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. I prefer when companies like to switch it up and do something different. I don't like them to do something like so outside of the box that it looks silly. However, you know, black polos is different. But it's starting to become somewhat common. There's a company that I work for in this area that I haven't got to work for actually in quite some time, but it's called EWE, Epic Wrestling Entertainment or something. And they actually have different color polos. We have a purple polo, a yellow polo, a red polo, and they might have another color or two that I actually don't have, because like I said, I haven't worked for them in a little bit, just because my schedule. But yeah, I like personally when companies will switch it up and do different stuff. Or even like, for instance, the old IWTV shirts that we used to have that were like gray and had like a cool design on it and stuff. Like that was really cool to me. However, I am very much I subscribe to, you know, I want everybody to look the same. You know what I mean? And whether it be, you know, if we all have IWTV official shirts, I want us all to wear IWTV official shirts. If we don't, then we're all wearing stripe. You know what I mean? As far as that goes.
Makes sense.
So-
Keep everybody uniform.
Right.
I have a follow-up question to this. How many ref shirts do you have?
Ooh.
Let's see. So I had the 3 or 4 EWE shirts that I was talking about. I have 3 striped shirts in my bag right now that I'm using. You know, I've had to toss a bunch of them. And then I have my IWTV shirt. I have the old IWTV shirt. And then I have Girl Fight has a black Girl Fight official shirt. And I want to say that that's it. When I first started, the company that I first started at, they were doing the blue with the bow tie. So I used to have one of those, but I don't anymore. So
Bow ties, classy.
yeah. Oh
Bow
yeah.
ties are cool.
They
Yeah.
are. Oh, but you're really only cool if you wear a bow tie, if you can actually tie the bow tie, which I can.
I cannot. So I'm not cool.
Nope. Me either. Okay, we're sticking with Vic on this next one. You guys talked a lot about music, about singing. He wants to know, what's your go-to karaoke song?
Man, good question. So I believe it or not, you know, I was talking about how I would do R&B and hip hop whenever I would actually do my own music personally. But I am a big country guy when it comes to karaoke. I love to do some Garth Brooks. I'll hit up some Eric Church. But also too, and then I'll completely throw people off. Do some Usher, you know, Nice and Slow.
Have I heard you sing that? Because that was immediately the song that popped into my head when this question was asked. I was like, it's got to be Nice and Slow by Usher.
Yeah,
I'm not even playing with you.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the go-tos for sure. Every time. Always got to do that one at least once, just to be like, hey, are there any single ladies in the place? Like, what's up, y'all? You know, or I'll do it like just to throw people off. You know what I mean? Especially if there's like, if we're at a certain type of bar and a completely different type of people comes in, you know, that doesn't fit into the bar. Whether it be, you know, no matter the culture, it doesn't matter, you know, because I've hung out in some random bars, you know what I mean? And we'll just throw Nice and Slow on there. And it's fun just to see the reaction that song gets, you know what I mean? From no matter the culture, white, black people, it don't matter. Everybody gets down with Usher. So
So we're going to keep it with music. And so Craig O'Mac has the first part of the question, and then I'm going to throw in a second part from myself. So Craig O'Mac's question is, do you listen to any music before you ref a match? And my add-on is, do you have any particular routines that you go through before a show?
As far as the music thing, it's funny because I don't, not regularly anymore, but every now and then I might pull out my phone and put on my Spotify while I'm getting ready. Just, you know, but at the same time, like there's usually a lot going on in the locker room. I've also gotten bad about procrastinating and waiting until, you know, 20 minutes before bell time to get dressed. So, but when I first started, you know, really going hot, 2018-ish or whatever, Sugar Dunkerton was in the locker room with me on a regular basis. And he does put on music and we'll play stuff. And a lot of times my gear would be in the same areas as Suge's. And that led for some really, really fun moments because Suge would put on either, some old school hip hop or some old school R&B, and we would just be jamming before an IWA show, listening to some fun stuff, man. But those were some fun times. But as far as me personally, as far as, pre-show rituals, I really don't have very many at all. But besides, especially like the more and more here recently, like I've been pretty bad about procrastinating and, not wanting to get my gear on. And then once it's on, I'm just like, all right, I don't want to take it off now. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, as far as like any pre-show rituals, not really.
That's your ritual though. It's the procrastination.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So Vic's next question, do you have a favorite scar that you've gotten from all the death matches?
I would probably say this one on my wrist is probably the one. I do have a scar on my leg that was from me while I was down on all fours. I was, checking on a submission. Do you want to give? Do you want to give? And didn't even realize it, but which I guess I could blame it on myself. Because when the light tubes will break, they'll leave like a U-shaped piece of glass in the ring. And, either step on them or kick them out or whatever, because those will really, really mess somebody up. And that's exactly what happened to me. My leg happened to be, or well, my shin happened to be on top of a U-shaped, piece of glass, and it was digging into my leg, and I didn't realize it until I got to the back. And I was just like, holy crap. And, once it healed and all that, it actually left a pretty big scar that I was like, it didn't even hurt that much to leave that big of a scar, like that's wild. But yeah, that, and the one on my wrist are really the only scars that I have. Probably one of the coolest, like, I guess you could say, wounds that I've ever gotten in a match, which it healed. But on this hand right here, I came down as I was counting onto one of those Kinsons, the circular spikes.
Ooh.
My hand came down, and hold on, let me set my phone a particular way real quick. So you see my hand, like, this whole entire part of my hand was like a circle with a bunch of little like dots all in between my fingers and stuff. And that was like that for about a week and a half. So, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, did you hesitate in coming down with the next count at all?
Nope.
Professional.
Nope. Well, but I am pretty quick with my hands. I was able to swipe it, I think, or I did something to where I was able to swipe it out of my way, or at least like move my hand, slightly to the left or something to where I didn't come down on it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it didn't. Still kept the same consistent count that I like to keep, and all that. Like it didn't let it mess me up.
Oh man, I can't even imagine. Okay, next question, Craig O'Mac. Are there any refs that you look up to, or maybe have asked advice from?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate that question because it lets me bring up what I was going to mention earlier, and I kind of forgot to. As far as so Max Recon, first and foremost, AJ Kissinger. He is, you can see him reffing alongside me at Paradigm, at Unsanctioned Pro. He's also been doing a lot of GCW here recently. Like I said, earlier, he did some Evolve stuff. AWE, Atlanta. But yeah, Max is probably, he was when I first started doing this, he was my favorite referee to watch live, just because of his authority. he's actually a really entertaining guy, like, but you would never know it unless you get him to come out of that shell. Like I've seen him bust out and twerk in a match before. And Val, looking at Max Recon, imagine him twerking. It's amazing. It really is. And he does it quite well, which is a little weird. But
Okay.
but
Any chance you guys are gonna have like a twerk off?
I don't twerk. No,
You
no,
don't twerk?
I don't twerk. Nah, I can't twerk. Nah. But Max he will get down and throw that ass in a circle. So but yeah, so but yeah, Max Recon, first and foremost, definitely hands down. But as I was talking about earlier, Max had brought up a point to me when I first started, deciding to take this a little bit more serious. And he had said, hey, there's not a lot of refs out here who, just want to be referees. And that couldn't be further from the case today, because there is actually a whole like zebra community called Zebra Talk that was started by a referee called her name Robert Odie Brown. He referees out in the California area. He started this Zebra Talk community, which is actually like it's a private Facebook page, and there's definitely over 1,000 now at this point. But there's like 1,000 referees in this group all across the world from all the major companies everywhere. Charles Robinson's in this group, Mike Chioda's in this group. Earl Hebner is even in this group. And they will, they'll ask questions. You'll have, the greenest of green referees asking questions being answered by, Billy Silverman from WCW. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane. And so, Robert Brown is another one that I definitely talked to quite a bit. I was one of the first ones to be added into Zebra Talk whenever he kind of came up with the concept, and to see it grow to where it has. And now Zebra Talk has merch that you could find on Pro Wrestling Tees, and actually really cool to plug their Pro Wrestling Tees, because it actually does a really good thing. All the stuff that is sold by Zebra Talk's Pro Wrestling Tees store, or their merch store in general, Odie will put back into a fund to basically like help out with any referee who wants to. They kind of have like a scholarship fund where if there's any place that you want to go that you can't afford the travel to get to, Zebra Talk will help out. And basically, like if there's a state that you want to knock off your bucket list, Zebra Talk will help out with the trans and help you get to that booking. And all the stuff from their merch goes into that. So that's been really, really beneficial. Any zebras, any referees that's listening or, watching this, if you're not in Zebra Talk, then you're definitely messing up. So do that ASAP. And then I have to shout out guys like Chris Levin, Brendan Toll, guys like that who, have been on bigger stages and bigger platforms and done way cooler things than I have, who have gave me tips and advices, and have helped me get opportunities that have led to where I'm at today. With Chris Levin, literally like the weekend that I met him was at a GCW show. And that same day, he was just like, hey, man, do you have any bookings next weekend? Because ICW No Holds Barred needs a ref and I can't be there. And I was like, as long as I can get off from my shoot job, I'll be there, And Chris ended up, letting Danny know, hey, I got a guy. And I was at ICW, and, I'm now a pretty integral part there. You know what I mean? So yeah, Chris Levin is another one. Adam Galt, all those guys really at GCW, because they've all been doing it longer than I have, if not around the same time period, and done some just as cool things as I have. So I'm a student of the game. So like anybody who has done cooler things than I have, I want to, hear all the advice, all the critiques, like anything you can do to help me,
That's awesome about the fund to help out, refs to get around if they can't get somewhere. That's really awesome that they do that.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Zebra Talk, it's such a useful tool. And like I was saying, from asking what kind of pants, you know what I mean? What kind of pants do you buy, to situations like, how do you go about asking for pay? Like literally anything and everything in this group, when it comes to being a referee, is in this group. And it's crazy to think, like, when I had that conversation with Max, 3-4 years later now, there's a zebra community,
That's really it's I think whoever started the Zebra Talk page, I think they liked our page. They reached out. I think we talked to them at one point. So it's really cool that they do that.
Mhm.
Okay, so the next couple of questions feel like they're deathmatch oriented. So first one is from Vic again. What are the best gloves to wear for a death match when you're reffing?
Anything that basically like closes up this part of your hand. So a lot of times, I will end up getting like the rubber, kind of material, that like the cloth, the glove that's been dipped in the rubber or whatever. Those are usually best. Anything that will stop the glass and anything else that might be sharp from penetrating through to your hand, obviously, is definitely the best kind of gloves. When it comes to like blood and stuff, and I mean, people can have their opinions. When it comes to blood, I'm not a big stickler on like wearing like latex gloves, just because I feel like blood can get on your arm. I've had blood get on my arms more than it has my hands. You know what I mean? So if we're really trying to like stop blood from getting on our skin, are we really stopping it? So that's why I really like latex gloves. But as far as like anything else other than that, like definitely got to keep something to keep my palms covered, because I'm a wuss, man. I don't like getting cut up.
That one Kenzon was enough, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it all the way through my glove. It sure did. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I was wearing gloves. No, yeah, I was definitely wearing gloves.
Oh shit.
Man,
Yeah. Well,
crazy.
is I've actually, which, no, never mind. Okay, never mind. It wasn't the same show. I was going to say it might be the same show. After this cut on my wrist right here, I take so much precaution now, and you'll see it on all the deathmatch shows that I was on this past weekend, or even this weekend on ICW. I will wrap my wrist every single time now with athletic tape, because even the athletic tape, whatever cloth it is or whatever, is pretty good about stopping glass from getting in between it. And it's funny talking about Chris Levin a second ago, because when I did this, it was literally like the first or second match of the show. And I go, see it, and it's, dripping blood down into my glove and everything. And I'm like, oh crap. And so I run to the back real quick. Had Chris, I think Eric Ryan maybe, and a couple other people were helping me wrap my arm up really quick, so that I could get back out there, even though Chris had the next match. But I had the match after him, obviously. And at one point I was asking Chris, I was like, because he got hurt at spring break this year, ended up getting a pretty serious injury, had to get stitches. And ever since that injury, he had started wrapping his wrist. And I made a comment about, I was like, yo, Chris, just wondering, did you start wrapping your wrist after you got hurt? Or did you do it beforehand? He said, no, I didn't do it before. And I was like, getting it messed up that we got to learn the hard way. Terrible, man. So terrible. So, but now every single time, like I'll have my gloves, and then I'll wrap my wrist, to a certain point, and every single time, just because one time is enough for me, man. It would that situation was a little scary to me too, just because I was worried I might have hit a vein or something. My glove filling up with blood really fast, and as I was saying earlier in the episode, it still didn't stop bleeding until almost a week after. You know what I mean? Well, I'd say it was a good 4 days after. Um, well, no, I ended up being a week because of the fact that I reopened it. So
Okay, next one, and I'm pretty sure we all know the answer to this question. From ER Chuck, aka Lieutenant Chuckles. He wants to know: do you enjoy reffing death matches?
I do. Yeah, quite a bit. I do. At first, it took some getting used to because I do have a weak stomach. Oddly enough.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I really do. Yeah. And so the blood and everything is it was a little much for me at first. But once I had kind of like I guess arrived into like the deathmatch scene and I was doing it as much as I was doing it, that was when I really started to love it and appreciate it for the art form that it is, because deathmatch wrestling really is a really beautiful art form. Like you can say that just by looking at the pictures that like Red Shoes Media posts and stuff from his death matches, like, or from the shows that he's at. Beautiful stuff, and the people who are good at it are almost like magicians. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that they can do some of the things that they do, and not actually really hurt or kill somebody, it's definitely almost like magic sometimes. I feel like. So, but yeah, no, I love deathmatch wrestling. Love it so much. Obviously.
After you get over all the blood. Thank you to Craig O'Mac for subscribing. We appreciate that. We love the love and we love to give the love back. So thank you for hanging out tonight, Craig O'Mac. Okay, second to last question from the chat. I feel like this is the most questions from chat that we've had. So Vic asks, where's the weirdest location you've ever reffed a match?
Oh man. So far, it was one of my more recent shows that I was on, actually. That ICW RPW venue that we ran at in Michigan was that was a piece, man. I'll tell you what. Because when we showed up, first off, it was an all outdoor venue that was like in the woods, and it was on uneven ground. It was pretty much on like a hill, and
Yeah, it looked like a clearing in the woods for camping, not for.
yeah, literally, that's pretty much what it felt like. The people who own the property said that they were clearing out the woods to make like a wrestling like venue back there. But yeah, it was rough. And then all around the ring was like, big mounds of dirt. And then don't even mention the pit fighter stuff, because like that stuff looked really cool on camera. But man, like it was kind of a pain to work in a little bit. It wasn't as bad as the sand at Boardwalk Buds weekend that we did for pit fighter. That sucked. Absolutely sucked.
Sand is terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you have like sand in everything?
Well, not so much sand and everything. It was just really hard to walk around and like, position your like, normal things that you would do with your feet, or like normal movements you would do with your feet, was like weird to do because you were walking in sand. You know what I mean? But the Michigan venue, that was literally just dirt. And there would be like, if you were watching like Aaron Williams and his match against Aaron O'Ryan, they're kicking each other in like dirt clouds. They're literally just poof. Because, and then not only that, but like at the end of everyone's match, we were all just covered in dirt. Because it was like a dry, like yeah,
Like a little cloud.
yeah, it sucked. So, but at the same time, really banger matches that came out of those shows, despite the elements. Let's see. I'd say one of the more cooler venues that I've ever done anything at. I worked for Blackcraft Wrestling, and the very, very first Blackcraft show that they did, it was at this like, it was a church that was like basically turned into like a venue, like an entertainment venue, and it still looked like an old cathedral in there. So for us to be doing like this Satanist themed professional wrestling inside of a former church felt a little weird. But definitely a cool venue though. I believe that there's a company that runs out of there now. I can't remember what it is, but it's in whatever company it is. It's in the Pittsburgh area.
Is it Enjoy?
It might be Enjoy. I think it is.
I know they run out of like a real fancy looking place.
That looks like a church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Yep, same venue. Yep.
Oh.
Okay. And the last question from chat comes from our very own Christopher, who finally, 2.5+ hours in, graced us with his presence. And he wants to know, why don't refs throw flags or yellow red cards in wrestling?
I feel like we have to do enough with our hands anyway. That would just be something else that's in the way. You know what I mean? Although that would be kind of fun. I felt like when I started doing the UWFI stuff, it gave me a little bit more stuff to do because I was able to start taking points away from people. But yeah, that's an interesting question.
Chris just said it would be an amazing gimmick, and I kind of agree. Like just seeing a ref pull out a yellow flag and like throw it at a wrestler would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Just like boop them right in the nose.
Yep.
Right off the forehead.
Okay, that's all the questions from chat. Now, unfortunately, we have to go to the worst segment of the entire show, and that is the lightning round. Sean, are you ready for the lightning round?
I am ready. Let's do it.
We're going to cue up the little video here. 10 questions. Random questions. As fast as you can. First thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Question number 1. Favorite animal?
Tiger.
Your go-to dessert?
Chocolate.
Something you hate doing?
Oh man.
Anything.
Work.
Work.
Going good job.
Do you have any hidden talents? And if so, what?
Maybe the theater. I don't know. But I mean, nothing necessarily hidden. All my talents, most people know of. So.
Okay. Have you ever won a contest?
Yes, I have. I've won contests for music before.
Okay. In-depth question. If you had to delete all but 3 apps on your phone, which ones are you keeping?
Let's see. Spotify. Let's go with my podcast, Apple Podcasts. And I'd say maybe Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Okay. If time travel is possible, where are you going?
I'm going to the 1970s.
Nice. Biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve. I would say people who talk over people.
What's one important skill every person should have, in your opinion?
Intelligence.
And the last question, how long would you last in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh man, I don't think I would last very long at all. I would say probably maybe a couple hours if that.
Man, I was gonna say you could at least probably go a week.
Maybe a couple days, man. Like I don't know. I'm not much of a gun person, and I'm also not very fast. So, although I can used to be pretty good at hide and go seek. So,
there you go.
But you can only stay in a hiding spot for so long before you have to come out.
Truth. Well, you survived the lightning round. Thank you, sir.
Barely, but I survived.
Yes. and Val, back to you.
So I really feel like we are coming up on my record for longest interview ever.
It's so funny because we were talking about that before the show, and then we done jinxed ourselves. So
I can't say that I'm surprised by this in any way, shape, or form. We're both friendly, chatty, talkative people. You have your podcast. So speaking of that, I guess, what shows do you have coming up?
So as far as like the podcast goes,
for your podcast and for your refereeing.
Well, so we just dropped the podcast actually today. Actually, right before we started, they had dropped. We did a review with referee Aaron Greider of the most recent Paradigm shows, the 2 doubleheaders. We reviewed those, so check that out. We also got a cool one with Isaiah Broner that we dropped not long ago. We've got all kind of really cool stuff that we've done since me and Jeremy have started, kind of our partnership or whatever. And then Jeremy's even got at least a couple of years of podcasts even before I came on by himself. So because that was kind of how it happened, was I was a regular guest on his show, and I would review old, review IWA shows that I was on, review Paradigm shows that I was on, whatever. And then one day he was just like, hey man, what if we started interviewing people together? And I was like, yeah, it's not a bad idea. And and we've gotten, man, some crazy stuff that I'd never, like, some really cool conversations with some of my favorite people and favorite like entertainers, and just like Aaron Williams. That was a really good conversation. Gary J. We had one with the guy who directed that documentary Hard Way, Jeff Waldridge,
Nice.
and got some really cool insight on the Nick Gage and Chris Jericho match, because Jeff Waldridge has a relationship with Chris Jericho. So definitely go check out, the different stuff that we've got up there. And we've got some really cool stuff in the works and in the plans. I think, I'll go ahead and, I guess exclusive. I think we will have Merrick Donovan dropping here soon. I know you just had him on here yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but and that was the only reason why I didn't get him this week, was because you had dropped the fact that you were having me and him on the same week, and I was like, let me wait. So,
I appreciate
but
that.
yeah, oh, for sure. I don't want to step on toes at all, ever. You know what I mean? So, um, but yeah. And then as far as wrestling goes, I have ICW No Holds Barred this weekend, which you can watch live on IWTV. That is this Saturday at 8 p.m. And then let's see, the weekend after that, I have, which is Halloween weekend. Yes, I have a company here in the area called TCW. And then I have NGW in Tennessee on that Sunday on Halloween. And it's got like Billy Starks. I think Fred Yehi is on it, Rich Swann. Let's see who those NGW cards are like stupid stacked. The show that they had last time had Eric Bischoff on it, and that was pretty crazy. So yeah, I got to meet Eric Bischoff. It was pretty cool. So
Like, yeah, I'd probably mark out.
oh, I did. Well, and it was so funny because like I didn't want to bother him. He looked like he was in a zone, you know. He did like a meet and greet, and then he came out and cut a promo before the show started, and then I didn't see him the rest of the time. Like I don't know if he left or if he like hung out and watched the show, like, you know, out in the crowd, or like I don't know where he was, because that was the last time I saw him. But he was standing by the curtain before the show started, and nobody was really bothering him or anything, and so I didn't want to be the one to like bother him or whatever. But I definitely had to make sure just to be like, "Hey, sir, nice to meet you," and shook his hand, and I was like, "I'm Sean," and he was like, "What'd you say your name was?" Sean, and he was like, "Oh, cool." We talked for like maybe a minute and a half, but yeah, Eric Bischoff was cool as hell, man. So, but yeah, going back to my point, I got NGW on Halloween, and then let's see, off the top of my head in November, I can't really. Oh, New Wave Pro, November Rain is November 27th, and that's the one we were talking about with Aaron Williams and Alex Zane on it. Also Solomon Tupu against Don't Die Miles. Big Beef is making his New Wave debut. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff is going to be on that New Wave show. I'm pretty sure though, I'm trying to think, my November is pretty full. So like, I'm literally just like tired right now, and that's why I can't remember. But if you want to see what I'm doing, I post literally every week where I'm going to be at. So just follow me on social media.
Which brings me to my next point. Where can people follow you on social media?
So on Instagram and Twitter, they're both the same thing. It's at official SPO 502. And then if you want to follow me on Facebook, my friends are maxed out, but if I like you enough, I might delete some room and, you know, add you on there. But it's Sean Patrick O'Brien on Facebook. It's under my full name. So, yeah, that's where you can find me at on all social media platforms. So, and then also let me go ahead and cheap plug. I do have a pro wrestling tees store. It's prowrestlingtees.com/official SPO 502. Everything is official SPO 502. So.
Is it official because it's like yours, or is it because you're an official, or is it both?
Both, because I started doing that when I was still like halfway in the music and halfway in the wrestling. And I saw there was a music artist, I can't remember who it was, but their social media was official so-and-so. And I was like, oh wait, but I am an official. See, look at that. So
Hell yeah. I like a good, like, I like wordplay.
yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
I'm a
One of my
nerd.
favorite, he is really, really good for like triple and like quadruple entendres and stuff. It's beautiful. Love it.
That's awesome. I would love that also. So get it. I get it. I like words and stuff.
For sure.
Oh, I never shut up.
Oh, and then also, hold on real quick. One last
No, you're
plug.
fine. Take your
If
time.
you want to check out my podcast, I'm not sure if I even said the name. It's I Got Your 5 Stars. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. We are on Spreaker, all that stuff. Check us out. Because like I said, man, we've done some pretty cool stuff. So and not only that, but like, interviews, and then we'll go and review stuff, recaps of the weekend, which are always popular. Anytime I do those ICW shows, for some reason, people care about what I have to say afterwards, and it's pretty cool. So,
Because you got the inside scoops, yo.
right, yeah, especially that anytime Sadiqa's on a show, definitely want to know what I have to say about her. So,
What do you have to say about her? Go to the podcast and find out, everybody.
right, exactly. No, I love Sadiqa. She's growing on me, but I love Sadiqa.
Yeah, you just don't want to get your ass kicked. I get it. It's fine. I would say the same thing.
You're right.
Well,
She's dangerous, man.
yeah, not somebody I want to mess with. Heck, no,
Nah.
not for me. But on that note, Sadiqa, please don't kick my ass. I appreciate the work that you do.
You do like to sit front row, and she does like to throw weapons no matter where they go. So watch your back.
Watch my front.
Right.
But thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you so much, Sean. This has been a blast. This has been super fun. I really think that we might have beat my previous length, which was with Matt Brannigan, like we were talking about before. So that's pretty dope. If it does, I will let him know. I don't know that he'll be upset, but he might be. We've talked about it before. So so we'll see how that all turns out. But thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to spend it with me. Both to everyone that has been in chat, hanging out this whole time, and of course to Sean. Thank you so much. This has been really fun. And on that note, follow Sean where you can find Sean: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You don't have TikTok or OnlyFans or anything else I need to know about?
No OnlyFans. No, I do have a TikTok, and I'm trying to use it more often. Literally all it is just like, so I've recently like caught in the bug to start editing videos again, and that's all I post on my TikTok is the old videos I've edited, old matches that I've played with.
Aww.
So, but that is also official SPO 502. So
official SPO 502. Fantastic.
Yep.
I, for some reason, always forget that you're official. I always remember SPO. And then when I go at SPO, it never brings you up. But if I go at 502, it always brings you up.
Nice. That's cool.
That I remember for some reason.
That's a shout out to my city. That's 502. That's the area code here in Louisville. So love my city. And I hate it at the same.
Isn't that how it usually goes though, right? That's
but
okay.
No, but yeah, definitely thank you, Val. I appreciate you bringing me on. This was a blast. And so now we definitely have to, do the swap and bring you on mine and do something crazy. So maybe a show that you're at or something, we could review it or something crazy. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, that would be dope. I don't know anybody cares what I have to say, but here we are nonetheless.
Right.
But again, thank you so much, Sean. Thank you so much, everybody. Follow Sean everywhere and have a good night.
Yep. Sean, thank you. Val, thank you. Everybody in the chat, thank you. We're going to raid our friend Pollo Damar once again. And next Tuesday, I myself will be talking with the New York Drip, Matt Vertigo. And Val has something lined up as well. And that will drop at some point in time.
I mean, I can drop that right now.
Oh,
I'll drop that right meow. Next week, Wednesday, same time, same monkey time, same monkey place. I will be speaking with Aaron Wade. So that should be really fun and interesting. And I would love to have everyone stop by.
So next week, 9 o'clock both days. Tuesday, Matt Vertigo. Wednesday, Aaron Wade. Everybody in the chat, thank you. By the way, we hit over 350 followers on Twitch, which is really cool tonight.
Hell yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for following. Everyone have a good rest of your Wednesday evening. We will see you soon. Sean, thank you. Val, thank you. Chris, thank you. Everybody in chat, thank you. We'll see you next time. Love y'all. Visit IWTV.live today to watch these great Action wrestling events, plus numerous other archive shows from Action and other great independent promotions. Use code ACTION for a free 5-day trial. Don't miss out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter,